everybody to a special impromptu BDA Boxing Podcast. This is your host, Mr. BDA, with you, and alongside with me, as always, my co-host, King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sensational. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, why are we doing a boxing podcast? Weren't we supposed to do Second Renaissance today? Yes, we were. But Bucho told me that there was some news going around. Eddie Hearn finally announced his deal. And you know what, Bucho? It better be a good deal, man. Otherwise,
I hope so, man.
we did this for nothing. We didn't even get this fucking read. No, actually, we did. We do know what the deal is. But before we start, if anybody wants to join, you know the drill. Go to Google Hangouts. Send us an instant message via the email address that's on the top of your screen. That's boxingdebate@hotmail.com. And you're in. All right. So thanks again for joining us, everybody. I know it's last minute. We got Boxing Battenberg in the chat from Jay Perez, The Quags, Koran Bread, Mighty Claire, Bones Convo says, "Are you from Romania?" No, I am not. I am not from Romania. Nor am I a vampire, even though I look like one. People tell me I look like a fucking vampire, translucent. But anyway. All right, so let's get this right down to it. Bucho, what did you hear exactly here?
I don't know, man. I heard he has a deal with DAZN Sports, or I don't know how you pronounce it, DAZN there, where I actually was going to subscribe to that because you can watch some boxing fights in there. That's all I heard so far. Listen, Stu's the one that told me this, and that's when Stu and I agreed that maybe we shouldn't do a second Renaissance. We should do a BDA boxing show. So then I texted you, and here we are, man.
That's right. Now, if things get too boring or if we run out of things to say, let's just revert back to what we're supposed to over at Second Renaissance.
Yeah, I guess we could.
All right. So let's look at exactly what's going on here, everybody, in case you didn't hear the news. Apparently, Eddie Hearn, like Bucho said earlier, performs a group revealed reveals details of $1 billion venture. Matchroom Boxing, according to Boxing Scene, I think this is a press release because there's no author, so that usually means it's a press release, says they have announced today the creation of a landmark $1 billion joint venture. Okay, the historic 8-year, $1 billion deal will see the joint venture, Matchroom Boxing USA, stage 16 fights a year, featuring some of the sport's biggest stars at the venues across America. At the best venues across America. Perform Group's live on-demand streaming service, DAZN, will be the exclusive U.S. broadcast partner for the 16 U.S. fight nights, plus Matchroom Boxing's existing 16 fight nights in the UK. The iconic investment in the fights, talent, content, promotion of boxing will reignite fans' passion for the sport. All right, so this is clearly a press release. But by the way, we need to focus on what they said here. They said Matchroom Boxing USA. Matchroom Boxing US, not Matchroom Boxing, Matchroom Boxing USA are going to be staging 16 fights a year in America, along with continuing to display their UK promotions. In other words, they are going to be staging fights in the United States. And Bucho, logic tells us that if he's going to be staging fights in the US, he's going to be signing or at least displaying some US names, right?
Such as the Charlos?
But,
one of the Charlos. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be the logic, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a speculation.
So listen, sorry, but I am excited about this, man. Just
why,
as excited as I was. You want to say something? Okay, go.
No, go ahead. I'm asking why. I'm asking why you're excited.
Because obviously when there's so much money invested in boxing, it has to be a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the same thing. Well, I'm gonna go back to 2000 and end of 14 or beginning of 2015.
Go ahead.
I remember the PBC when I heard this deal, that the PBC was gonna be on network television. I was excited, man.
Absolutely,
I was actually. But then of course came the mismatches, and you know the whole story.
I do.
So that how much money did Al Heyman have? $500 million?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that went to waste. So hey, listen, we shouldn't start celebrating here because who knows what might happen in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I mean, I'm excited, and let's see what happens next.
Well, there's a couple of different. You made some good points, but there are, and we know there's some couple of a couple of differences between Al Heyman and Eddie Hearn. For starters, Eddie Hearn is officially a promoter. Second of all, he's done a good job of promoting fights and getting butts into seats. Now, he's done that in the UK. To be fair, he hasn't done that in the United States. But logic tells you he's a better promoter than Al Heyman, who unofficially is a promoter, but officially is more of a manager. So he's not the figurehead. He what's it called? He hires promoters, low-level promoters, to stage the fights for him. But in behind the scenes, he's the one that's controlling the strings, or pulling the strings rather. Kiwi Box says, "Sup, y'all. I'm wondering if Eddie Hearn is going to be signing some American fighters as well." That's what we were saying, because if he's going to be staging fights in America, the logic says he's not going to be showing you Mutton Chop Willie and, William Cox or names like that, like some local British stars that only people in the suburbs of London know about. He's going to go for some American names. But he hasn't yet revealed. Well, you know what? Let's finish reading this press release and see what they say. Because if they have, let's see if they give us an indication of when this is going to be operational. This is a historic moment, blah, blah, blah. Our plan is to make DAZN the home of boxing, and with 32 big fights nights already confirmed for the US and the UK, we are nicely on our way. We have well and truly arrived. Let the fun begin. Okay, so they say apparently they're already on their way with their 32 big fights. And they're saying big. Of course, it's a press release. They're going to do a little hyperbole. They're going to say big. But like I said, maybe big for them is Roy Boy Wilson taking on Mutton Chop Willie. And that to us doesn't really mean much. But to them, it's a big fight. But let's see what type of fights they hold. It says the two British businesses, which have worked closely together for over 10 years, are partnering on this joint venture. I want to know more about this DAZN. Because essentially, Bucho, what you said is it's an online platform, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's go to our friendly Wikipedia and see what it has to say about DAZN. Actually, I keep calling it DAZN. It's pronounced DAZN.
It's what?
That's what it says on Wikipedia. Hold on a second. All right, so there we have it.
I heard some people call it dance sports.
Wait, it's DAZN. How the fuck do you call it dance if the
it's the zone, but I think they just, because it's too long to say the whole thing, right?
Right.
So they just abbreviate it and dance.
All right. Anyway, listen.
Dance sport.
It says it's an over-the-top subscription video on-demand service owned by Perform Group. The service is dedicated to sports, offering live and on-demand streaming of events from various properties. I gotta tell you, this online a la carte type streaming service is really the future, because it all started or it all coalesced with Netflix and all these other services where you can watch whatever you want whenever you want. Now, of course, this is sports, which means that there is an actual live date set. You can't just watch it, but if they make it available, the replay, whatever, whenever you want, that's another plus that they have right there, because you have places like HBO and all that. And that's Jay Perez just mentioned what I was going to say. He says, how much is it going to cost? That's where I was going, because HBO, it's about like $15 in North America on top of your cable bill. So if you have a service like this, which is relatively, let's say they charge an acceptable fee, which for me would be between, I don't know, $8 and $10, right? It's a lot if you count that throughout the year, but it's acceptable if they give you a lot of fights. HBO, on the other hand, all right, if you're just a boxing fan and you don't care about Westworld or Girls or other fucking shows that nobody knows about, you're paying for boxing, but they're only putting 6 cards a year, and most of those cards might suck. It might be a mismatch or something. So HBO really, I don't think it's worth the money anymore. But if the zone ends up giving you a good deal, why not? Anyway, let's go back to the Wikipedia thing here just to get a little bit more information. It first launched in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland in 2016. On August 7, 2017, the Zone reached a deal to subscribe content from beIN Sports Canada, including the UEFA Champions League and Europa League. It also has some Commonwealth Games. I know you love those, Bucho.
Oh yeah,
CBC
everybody loves the Commonwealth Games.
It's got the MLS, and now it has boxing. What else do they have? Sports rights. They have ranging from major to minor competitions, including the Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga. All right, so they're pretty well established, man. Pretty
Yeah, I checked
entrenched.
there. I was gonna subscribe because they have all the major football leagues, right? And they
Mhm.
had some boxing fights there, so I was like, why not, man?
They got basketball. Look, they got deals with the NBA, MLS, with the other European leagues. They got motorsport, tennis, professional wrestling, UFC. How the fuck did they make this happen? It's very
I don't know,
interesting,
but
man. It
it looks tasty.
looks delicious. All right, let's see what people are saying. Graham says the Charles aren't getting 1 million per fight. Maddie Claire asks, does Al Heyman have a PC? Does he have a PC? I think he lives inside a PC because nobody's ever seen him. Bones Conville says UK has taken over boxing. Well, come on, let's hold the horses a little bit here. I mean, it's just a deal. Let's not jump to conclusions. Like, remember when, like Bucho said, when PBC announced that, well, when the PBC was announced and they had these deals with NBC, CBS, and they were going to air fights on Fox and ABC down the line, and look how that worked out. By the way, and I keep saying, what type of fights are they going to show? Because if it's a bunch of local guys from a pub, I'm not terribly interested in seeing that. But if they
We
start,
have Stu, by the way.
what's that?
We have Stu on the line.
How come we have? There's two fucking hangouts open. What the hell is this? All right,
Oh,
now
don't
I
know.
see him. Yeah, that's why I didn't see him. That's right. We got Stu on the line.
I wasn't bad
I
though.
told you what's going to happen with Price. I told you he's going to be sleeping. I told you the ambulance is going to come. The oxygen mask is going to come out. I told you he's going to miss the main event. I told you all them things were going to happen. What's happening, boys?
All right, Stu, thanks for being
Oh,
on.
what's up?
Yeah, first of all, I've got a terrible cold. I'm feeling like shit. So if I sound muffled and bunged up, I do apologise. But I've got a terrible cold. So it is
You
what it
know,
is.
all I hear are excuses. That's all I hear. Why don't you get stand above? By the way, how cold is it in the UK right now?
The weather's beautiful over here. It's like being in California, mate.
So you must have had one of those what they call the summer cold.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. A lot of late nights, I think, it's catching up on me, to be honest with you, bro.
Ah, right. Well, look, listen. Well, I don't think we're gonna go on a marathon tonight, so I think you're gonna be fine. And there's nothing like Coop always used to say, the best cure for the cold, the common cold, is a nice, good old podcast. That's what my friend Coop always used to say. By the way, we also have Pavel on the line. Pavel with a new avatar as well, and I think that's Bernard Hopkins with his teeth missing. I gotta tell you, I'm a Hopkins fan, and I don't appreciate that at all. No, sirree.
Hello.
Hello, Pavel. Glad to have you on board. So, listen. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we were just talking about this new deal that Eddie Hearn's made. Now, let's start with Stu, because he's from the UK. What do you make of this deal? I mean, Bucho says he's excited. What about you?
Well, listen, as a
Okay.
fan,
Go
I
ahead.
said Stu. I
I'm
said
sorry,
Stu.
bro.
Yeah.
I thought you said
Sorry.
Stu.
I did say Stu.
Yeah. Yeah, it's me. My fault. Sorry.
Yeah.
As a fan, it's got to be good news for us, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, we don't care where the money's coming from, who's gonna win from this, who's gonna lose money. We don't care. We just want to see the best fights. So if there's $1 billion to play around with, then we're going to get good fights. And the thing about Eddie Hearn, I think, as much as he loves money, he's actually quite dedicated into growing boxing. He does love the sport, I think.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I think he means well for boxing. Now, I don't think he's going to do what Al Heyman did. Al Heyman got $500 million and spunked it up the wall. And let's be real, he robbed most of that money. Let's be real. He robbed it. He was never going to. I think it was Butcho the other day said Heyman doesn't care about boxing. He doesn't care about fighters, and I think he's spot on. Heyman's in it for the money. He got a good deal, and he saw a chance to make a lot of money and blow a lot of investments. Let's just say that. But I don't think Eddie Hearn is going to go down that route. If you look at the numbers Eddie Hearn does, Eddie Hearn actually makes money out of boxing, where Al Heyman actually loses it. That's the difference.
Oh.
By the way, if Eddie Hearn didn't have Anthony Joshua, would he have been able to make this deal? I mean, I'm pretty sure that played into it.
I don't think Joshua makes much of a difference to this deal, to be honest with you, because Joshua, as much as he's a big name in the UK, in the US, there's not a lot of money involved, really.
There's a
Where
potential.
there is a potential, but he's got to keep winning, isn't he? You know.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think this is a deal for boxing in general. I don't think it's got anything to do with Joshua. I don't think Joshua can carry boxing. It's not like he's going to carry boxing like certain fighters have done through the years. I just don't think he's got that draw in America. So this is a big plan where there's going to be a lot of American fighters involved. Let's be real, because that's the market they're hitting, and you've got to have American talent in there if you want to make money. So there's a deal going to be happening in June of all the fighters he's going to be signing up. I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because I've got a feeling there's going to be some good names.
Also, so they are going to be signing. It's already announced in June. They're going to be announcing who they signed.
I think that's the rumors are that he's talking to a lot of fighters. Obviously, he's got a lot of money to play with, so fighters are going to be very interested. He reckons he's going to be a very busy man. He's going to talk. He's talking to a lot of fighters, and it's going to be June when he announces. I should think who he's got and what fights are going to be happening. And I'm really looking forward to it, man, because I'm a boxing fan. I just want to see fights. I don't care if Eddie Hearn makes money or not. I just want to see fights.
Pavel, what do you think about all this?
I think basically Stu summed it up pretty well. Basically, I think that what differs Eddie Hearn from other promoters is that apart from having loads of money, he actually is a boxing fan himself, and he knows what the market wants. So he's gaining popularity all like very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
Well, it does seem like there's a bit of a difference between him and Al Heyman. And by the way, the other thing was that Al Heyman, I think I talked about this on another podcast, how Eddie Hearn seems to be breaking the paradigm a little bit of what a promoter is, because you see him giving interviews with people, with IFL TV, he's riding around with Eddie Hearn in his car.
And basically a new age boxing promoter. Yeah,
exactly, which is what's supposed to be done. You're always supposed to be innovating. And Eddie Hearn does genuinely seem, now you compare that to Al Heyman, who's not a promoter technically, and he's hidden away. He doesn't give interviews. He doesn't delegate, by the way. Apparently, that's what I heard, according to that Thomas Hauser article. The guy, pretty private, and he wants to have his fingers on every pie out there that's cooling in the window. So there is a bit, like you guys are saying, there's a difference between Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman. Now, I don't know much about this TV business, so you tell me, am I missing the big picture here? Because I'm reading the boxing scene comments from the press release, and people are saying boxing history has been made. Another person says this is good. Another person says this is the future of boxing. You watch. I mean, what can he do? Can he, if he scoops, do you think that this is all dependent on whether he can scoop up some American names that might be divergent from the PBC?
Listen, mate. America is a great place for him right now, because there's a lot of these PBC fighters that have a manager in Al Heyman, but the promoter's not sorted, and they're being left to rot once a year fights, once every 18 months. Mm-hmm. That's not good. When you're a prime athlete, you've got to make your money quick while you're in your prime. A boxer, you've got a certain period in your career where you have to make the best of it, because, like I said, a boxer can get old overnight. The Vladimir Klitschko's and the Pacquiao's, the Mayweathers, they're one-offs. Not everyone's going to be like them, 40 years old and still dominating, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So you've got to get in and get out while you can, when you're at your best. And if any of these fighters in America have got any sort of sense, they'll be snapping Eddie Hearn's fucking hand off, taking these deals and making themselves some money. And I'm quite positive that there's going to be a lot of people sign for Eddie Hearn. We're going to get a lot of good fights in America. And I think the Charlos, I've been saying it from day one, I've got a feeling they're going to be two of them. And I think the Jacobs-Charlo fight will definitely be made.
Yeah, if Hearn was true about his budget, basically if you have a bigger budget, then you can do more of everything. So yeah.
That what Stu said about the Charlos, that's what everybody's been hinting at in the rumor sections, in message boards and everything. So rumors, we know they can be completely false, but oftentimes there is a certain amount of truth, hence why rumors spring out. So everybody's saying that it's going to be the Charlos that are going to be signed. And maybe if they do get signed, do you think that Daniel Jacobs' confrontation might have something it might have that been involved when he said to to Charlo, listen, I'm making millions. You haven't even touched those yet.
Well, like I said, if you're if you're any sort of businessman in any sort of trade, and there's a guy doing the same thing as you, and he's making millions of dollars doing it, and you're making barely 150 grand, then
Mm-hmm.
of course you're going to be saying, well, can I get a job where you are, please, mate? Do you know what I mean? So that, of course, that makes a difference. Money talks. Let's be real, the Charlos are not making decent money. I mean, Eddie Hearn, though, the one thing about the difference between him and Heyman was paying fighters ridiculous salaries in garbage fights. And the reason he was doing it because he's a manager, so he takes a percentage
Mm-hmm.
fighters purse. So if he gives Luis Galazzo say 1.5 million, then he takes his percentage off that, so he doesn't lose. He's took this money knowing damn well he's just going to blow it and rake it in racketeering sort of thing, and that's what he's done. Where Eddie Hearn is a very smart businessman, he doesn't overpay fighters. Dillian White's on about 150 grand a fight. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
he's a heavyweight with decent name in the UK. He's not. Eddie Hearn knows what to pay fighters and what they're worth. That's the difference. Where Al Heyman was just paying them ridiculous, like Danny Garcia, like 3 million to fight Rod Solker or something stupid like that. You know, the only reason he's doing this because he could take the percentage of the fighter's purse and he gains. And when all the money's gone, it doesn't matter because Al Heyman's an old man. He's made his money now. He can go off into the sunset, and that's why he's letting all these fighters fight around the world now because he doesn't care. He's made his money.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, man. That's a good point. It's that like it's like Steve Kim was saying. He thinks this whole PBC thing was a money grab. It was a cash out, in other words, and I don't see that being the case with Eddie Hearn, who's relatively young, and he's got a whole future. I don't think he's going to be burning any bridges right now just to get some money. What are your thoughts on this, Pavel? I mean, do you think this whole do you first of all do you think would you pay to watch what's it called, the Zone? Would you pay for it to get that
Yeah,
service?
well, I read an article and it stated that Eddie's subscription style won't be like pay-per-view, but monthly subscription, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a Box Nation where you pay monthly fee for that. And I'd have to see first if he puts on the good fights regularly, then I would be inclined to pay for it. Seriously.
Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, so you think that's worth it? Speaking
Yeah.
of speaking of money, Brandon White is in the chat room. Shout out to Brandon, who just became another Patreon donor. Thanks a lot, Brandon. We really do appreciate your support and everybody's
Yeah, thanks.
support.
Yeah, thanks for the support, Brandon. I mean, I know me and you don't really get along. You troll me constantly, but I appreciate you supporting the boys. You know, that's what it's about.
We're closer to getting our call-in show.
Oh yeah, that call-in
Yeah.
show. That's He says, no, Bucho, you and BDA deserve it more. Well, listen, I mean, you guys make this show fucking interesting. And sometimes I do, like I've said before, I do wish I could read the comments live on the air more often. But you know what it is. I mean, you saw what last evening, we got like 8-9 people in the chat, in the hangout. So we can't always, I can't stop everybody. Hey, shut up. Listen to what fucking John Gonzalez wrote, you know? I mean, we do try. So, but I mean, everybody, thanks a lot for the support. All right, enough of this circle jerk. Let's get back to boxing. So, Pavel, you said you'd be paying for the service. Now, Stu, I know you pay for cable, but nowadays cable, it's overpriced.
Yeah,
They
but
try to
this is the
gouge.
thing, right? I don't know how this is going to affect me being in the UK because is it still going to be on Sky Sports, these fights? I
Yeah.
suspect they will be. I suspect they'll be on Sky Sports for us, but it's going to be. I think America has really turned into it's an internet place, really. The America, it's all Netflix and all these Amazon fucking sticks that you stick on the side of your TV. And I think that's the way forward in America right now. I believe Eddie Hearn is smart enough to know that he cannot be charging $100 and $80 for live fights. I think he's going to be dropping the prices on these fights quite a lot. I think you're going to be talking, say, $50. I think
Yeah, maybe it's gonna be something like Patreon style, like you just pay monthly fee and that's all. You can watch fights
you could do that, but
from
if he does,
all around the
yeah.
world.
Yeah, if that's probably the way he might go. But if he does do a pay-per-view service on there, he will not be charging $80 to $100. He
Yeah.
won't. He's smart enough to.
And by the way, somebody made a good point in one of the forums. After this deal, let's say this deal goes fantastic. Let's say it goes sensational, tremendous, and it makes Eddie Hearn a lot of money, and it makes boxing fans happy. Do you think Frank Warren is gonna end up like Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket, sitting in the toilet with a gun in his mouth, or?
Yeah. This is my rifle. Yeah.
Yeah. You see one of his fighters comes in. You see Billy Joe Saunders. What the fuck are you doing? Why aren't you stumping his brains? And then he gets shot.
The thing with Warren, though, he'll blow his brains up and he'll still shake it off and get up. He'll be depressed the next day. Do you know what I mean? Just with half a head missing. And it with half a head missing, just sit there going, yeah, we've got a great announcement to make. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's gonna. You can't stop the guy. Like you can slow him down, but you can't stop him. He's like a fucking zombie.
Boris like I said, he's Boris from Snatch, isn't
he? Yeah.
Well, there was Bullet Tooth Tony too. I mean, he was shot and he actually caught the bullet with his teeth or something, right? Or what was it?
Was that the one Vinnie Jones played? Bullet?
Yeah, Vinnie Jones. By the way, how crazy is Vinnie Jones? Because I mean, I've only seen highlights of him.
Vinnie Jones was a professional footballer. He used to play in the Premier League for Wimbledon.
Right.
And during the 80s and 90s, when he played for Wimbledon was a small club. It used to like get 4,000 at home and things. It had no fans, but they had all 6'3", 6'4" donkeys that used to just break your legs.
I mean,
John Fashion, who broke Gary Mabbott's skull. Do you know what I mean? Cracking him with an elbow. There was a real dirty side, and Vinnie Jones has been sent off numerous times. The guy had no ability. He had no ability on the ball. He was a fucking terrible footballer, but he'd break your legs in a heartbeat. And the rumours are that he is quite a tough guy. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he looks it, doesn't he? And he plays it well in the films.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he's a good actor too, man. For a fucking football player. I mean, I don't know. I guess.
I tell you what, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to fight the guy. I bet he's a fucking hard bastard. I'll tell you, because I know for a fact he used to break footballers' legs on the field, man, just break their legs. But you can't do that now. You can fucking get done for assault. But back then, you could break a player's legs, no problem.
What was the name of that German guy in the late 80s, early 90s who would fucking knock people out with his charges? I think.
You went about Rummenigge, weren't you?
No, I think he was one. Well, maybe that's. Was he part of the one that won the World Cup?
The goalkeeper you on about?
It was an offense guy. I think he won the World Cup in 1990. I think.
Yeah.
You on about Rudy Vuller?
I think that's the guy.
He the one who got spat in the hair.
He had a German porn star haircut. Long term.
Yeah, he got spat by.
Yeah, that's it. Frank Rijkaard spat in his fucking hair. It was just hanging off his curls, weren't it?
That's disgusting, man. Oh.
Just sitting there hanging off his curls, man.
Anyways.
But, all right. So going back to the boxing thing, it's interesting because this is the type of deal that I contend everybody should be doing, moving it over to the internet. For example, I was reading more about Boxing Legends TV, who he got reprimanded by YouTube for using copyrighted attached Raptor just subscribed. Shout out to Raptor. Thanks for subscribing. Yeah, Boxing Legends just he's having trouble with the copyrights, and like we were talking about last night, it's fucking dumb from these TV companies or from these boxing promotions to stop the dissemination of their videos on YouTube, because I mean, like Bucho said, they're not showing the entire fights. When we do film analysis, for example, we're only showing you snippets of the fight, and it actually does wonders for promotion. So that's another thing that these promoters and TV networks have to get into their head, that this is all free promotion, man. And it's not like they don't need it. When you got events like Luis Ortiz and Wilder, who are good fights, everyone is looking forward to them, and then all of a sudden they only pack 7,000 people into the Barclays Center. I mean, they need the promotion. I don't understand.
Yeah, the thing is, though, bro, like I said, what Eddie Hearn does, and you don't realise how important this is. He takes a big burden off a lot of these fighters, because they don't have to worry about promoting themselves, running around chasing after fights and getting in beefs and Twitter beefs and wasting energy that you don't need to be wasting in training camps. Eddie Hearn takes that all off you. He does all the promotion. All you got to do is just turn up, and that's a big pressure off your back. Knowing who your next fights are going to be, knowing that your purse, knowing that you're going to get paid without anyone fucking trying to do you in with your purse and that lot. Like Frank Warren, I'll pay you in 6 months. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Eddie Hearn, the way he does business is the way forward. And like I said, sometimes it pays. I mean, even if you're a greedy man, but you're a fair man, people will still do business with you. It's when you're a greedy man and you're not a fair man, like Don King. Look at Don King, man. It's sad seeing that guy walking in the ring with all these bums. His last, and they're always getting beat, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's probably got 2 fighters. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think the last champion he had was fucking Guillermo Jones, man. Do you know what I mean? It's just sad seeing him like that. But he brought it on himself. The guy's crook. These fighters are too smart these days to be falling for Don King's fucking bullshit. Even the black guys don't want to hear that race card with Don King anymore, do they?
Yeah, but come on, let's is Eddie Hearn? He's still a promoter, man. I mean, maybe I'm being biased here, but the guy must. Yeah, he's not a. It's not like he's a saint. He's not the new saint.
Listen, I don't care if he's a saint. He could go and do all the nasty things that he wants to do, as long as he puts on good fights, bro. Because that's what we're here for. We are we're BDA Boxing.
Right.
You know, we're here to talk boxing. We're here because we're boxing fans. I don't give a fuck what Eddie Hearn does when he goes home. He could go and lick his wife's bumhole like Cameron did. It doesn't matter to me. Right?
Oh, but by the way, I wasn't saying he's a saint outside. I'm saying in terms of business practices, he must be shortchanging his fighters a little bit, right?
Listen,
look at the overall picture.
If someone says to you, right, I want you to fight this guy, I'm going to pay you 150 grand to do it, right? And if you sign on the contract, right, and Hearn gives you your 150 grand after the fight, so he sticks to it, but Hearn makes 900 grand out of you, then you haven't got a leg to stand on because you signed the contract. If you're not happy with what you're getting, then don't sign the contract. It's simple. You know, so of course, Hearn's making money, but that's what he's in the business for. He's not in it. This is not a charity case, is it? I've just turned up to America to bring some fighters out of the ghetto that need helping. It's not, it's not about that, is it? Let's be real.
Yeah, but the only thing is, I don't know what Eddie Hearn does or how he practices or runs his business. But I'm just saying from experience with promoters, I'm just saying I'm asking the question, like, has he done something like that? Because he must, right? He must be shortchanging his fighters a little bit. I mean, he's a businessman. He wants to maximize his profits as much as possible.
Yeah, well, I'm quite positive he probably shortchanges them, but he's still paying them good enough money for them to be. Name one fighter that's moaned about paychecks off Eddie Hearn. Danny Jacobs got $2 million to fight a guy that nobody knew.
That's true.
Well,
that's true.
I think. Sorry,
Joshua got 15 million to fight Takam. So it's not bad money, really, is it?
Yeah, go ahead, Pavel. You want to say something?
Yeah, well, I just want to add that I think the difference between Eddie Hearn and other promoters is that Eddie doesn't like completely rip off their fighters. He just gives them a fair shake, and it's enough. So other fighters just join him because they know, they heard it by the grapevine that he actually pays well. Like, I don't know exactly what he does, but some things must be on, right?
Yeah, that's true. So far as it goes from promoters, there hasn't been that many complaints about him or any irregularities with the government. Because I mean, you remember Don King? He was getting into spats with the United States Supreme Court. I mean, not the Supreme Court, but the Justice Department was going after him. The FBI raided Bob Arum, I think, once, and maybe another time in the 80s as well. So the fact that Eddie Hearn has remained relatively clean and that he's not being as badmouthed as much as far as promoters goes, he seems to be doing all right. And by the way, people are bringing up the fact that Eddie Hearn, the slave owner. In other words, because of course the what's it called? The notion is that since he's a white man with black fighters, he's a slave owner. But have we forgotten who sold the slaves to the Europeans in the first place? It was other Africans. So why isn't anybody calling Al Heyman African royalty? Because that's how a lot of Africans, the rich families that are around in Africa now, that's how they got their money. That's how they got started, selling other Africans. So is Don King and Al Heyman African royalty? Because they had slaves too.
Black people are not racist. That's all.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I forgot about that.
You'll see a lot of black fighters in the history books. Some great legends of the sport that fell into this bubble of they had to be surrounded by their own people and have these entourages, and you only have to see where they are today, or the ones that are still alive, or how they died. I mean, when you're looking at Joe Louis made $5 million in the 30s, and the guy died broke. You know, these guys surround themselves. Sometimes surrounding yourself with your own people is not the way forward. You've got to surround yourself with the best guy for the job. Forget the
Exactly.
race bollocks. As long forget all that, because you most guys that live in the streets and the rough places of America will tell you the chances are they'll get robbed by one of their own before a white man does it to them. You know,
Mhm.
so a lot of these fighters that were world champion, good black fighters, their own people have dragged them down. Look at Tyson; he become a fucking circus act, didn't he?
He
Yeah.
got jibbed, man. He got fucking.
Can I
The,
address something in the chat? Somebody was saying that Charlo, Broner, Vargas, all these people, all these boxers have said publicly that they will not go with Eddie Hearn. But these boxers that this guy mentioned, they are currently with Al Heyman. So
I
I
mean,
don't I
because
don't think they would start talking about leaving Al Heyman and doing business with Hearn
You
while
don't.
they're with him.
Well, you don't do that. You don't do that. Let's be real. Al Heyman's probably in talks with Eddie Hearn now. Al Heyman needs promoters. He's a manager. He needs the more money his fighters make, the more money he gets. So it makes sense for him to bring Eddie Hearn in and tell some of his. Let's be real. DeBella's a fucking dinosaur. I mean, who else
Mhm.
is there?
He's a shill. He's not really
Yeah.
a
So
promoter. He just does it
I've
so it
got a
becomes
feeling
illegal.
Al Heyman. I've got a feeling Al Heyman's going to pass a lot of his fighters on to Eddie Hearn because it makes sense for him. He's going to be making money. He's guaranteed money, and that's what Al Heyman's about. Al Heyman doesn't love boxing. Al Heyman's he's more of a music guy in the music industry. I think really he just got into boxing. I don't know why he got into boxing, but he's made a lot of money out of it. But he's not a boxing fan, so he doesn't care. Where Eddie Hearn, I think he's got a side to him where he does care about the sport.
yeah,
And
because probably he's a boxing fan, and he understands what the market demands, and basically the guys who have a lot of money, like 50 Cent, Jay-Z, and all that, they don't know the market, they don't know the
mhm.
demand, so they fail.
And they fail miserably.
Absolutely.
I mean, you hit the nail right on the head there. These guys come in with their coffers and their backers, and they think, all right, we're just gonna throw money around and we're gonna sign everybody up. But you can't throw money at at a problem like this. It's you need to show them a long term plan that you're gonna keep them active. I mean, look at the PBC; they couldn't keep their fighters active. I mean, they
Well, wait a
kept.
minute. But how did Al Heyman get? Oh, the PBC got most of their fighters. What happened? How did they get them? Remember?
Yeah, they took them away from Golden Boy Promotions.
Yep. Now Eddie Hearn, what's he gonna do though
Well, he's gonna do the
in
same
the
thing, right?
U.S.? Well, he can't. I mean, how? Like,
Well, listen. For example, I mean, you said that the Charlos and that Broner they stated that they're not gonna sign. They're gonna stay away from Al Heyman. I mean, from Eddie Hearn. Couldn't that be as well a negotiation tactic to get Hearn to pay them more money?
could be.
Could
I
be.
mean,
I
listen.
mean,
It's
we
obvious
can
that
all
the PBC isn't
speculate.
doing well. Go
Exactly.
ahead.
These guys, they're not getting their fights. Some of these guys, they want to stay active. And listen, they might be if they're getting paid per fight, fine. But if they're only fighting once a year, they're gonna be jumping off the bandwagon because they want to get paid. They want to stay active. And if Eddie Hearn can promise them that, and he's got that's the other thing. If you want to have good money, you have to fight where people are watching you, right? And if this thing, the zone, starts taking off, they got an audience, they got a paying audience. Let's say they can get some sponsors and everything. Fuck, you can guarantee that there's 16 American dates. They can guarantee some of these guys their fights. It's not like HBO, who's only showing about what 6, 8 fights, and Showtime, I think a little bit more than that. Showtime, which by the way has been doing better than HBO these past 2 years, but fighters want to stay active and they want to fight in front of people. They don't want to fight in front of empty stadiums or in front of in a network where which nobody watches anymore. So this
Yeah.
zone has a lot of
Well,
potential.
I know one thing. In the UK, if you haven't got a promoter, right, then it's really hard for you to get fights, even to get a promoter in the UK is not easy. You've got to be able to sell tickets, or you've got to be some sort of name, or you've got to be a real top talent. for promoters to be interested in you. If you haven't got promoter, like Michael Stotts in the chat saying he'd rather fight for 10 grand than sign for a promoter. But the thing is, you won't be fighting for 10 grand without a promoter because it's going to be hard for you to make fights. This is the thing. Everyone needs a decent promoter. And unfortunately, this is boxing. That's the way it is.
Exactly.
It's like football. It's like football, soccer. They've all got agents, haven't they, to look after their shit.
And that's the other thing, man.
So,
like you said, if you want to be fighting for peanuts, fight without a promoter. There's only been a couple of guys that have been able to pull that off. For example, Floyd Mayweather, it took him about 11 years before he could finally branch out on his own. And even then, he wasn't really on his own because he was using Golden Boy Promotions to actually promote the fights for him as the official promoter. Second of all, you had Sugar Ray Leonard was another one that was semi-independent. Roy Jones was another one who called the shots himself. But those are three examples out of thousands and hundreds of thousands of boxers across time. Everybody, like Stu said, you need a promoter. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting for $500 in Tijuana. You know?
Yeah, somebody in the chat was saying, oh, Charlo's starting his own promotional company. These other fighters starting his promotional company. Like, that's the future. I'm like, if it was so easy to just become a promoter, like, for these boxers to become self-promoted, then every boxer would have done it in the past already. But it's not that easy, you know? And like you mentioned, even Floyd Mayweather, he was working with Golden Boy. He couldn't do it by himself. So I don't know how Charlo, who fights in fucking undercards, is going to make it on his own. So...
Now you can't make it.
This is why a lot of people that have got money don't jump into promoting boxing because for a start, it's very hard to make money, and you have to have a TV company backing you. If you haven't got a station backing you, you've got no chance because you can't put your fighters on televised events and they can't get paid. So Eddie Hearn's got one of the big forces in the world of boxing, and that's Sky Sports, and that's always a.
And you know what, Stu? You make a good point. You make a good point because you take a look at Golden Boy Promotions. When they got started, I think officially they started either in 2002 or 2003. I forget exactly when. It took them a while, man, before they got started. And before, it was actually the De La Hoya Mayweather pay-per-view. That was the first time De La Hoya set up his own major fight without the backing of Bob Arum. And it was only that mega payday that finally got them on. It was like the wind behind their sail, in other words. So it took them about it took them about 6-7 years, and that was a company, that was Oscar De La Hoya, who had a shit ton of money and who was still fighting. So he had some sort of leverage with HBO so that they could, like, if he didn't
exactly. We've fighted a lot of ex-fighters that turn promoters, or if they want to say it, like, there's not many of them, but a lot of these top fighters had their own promotions. Like, you've got David A promotion. I'm not saying he's a top fighter, but he was. You've got Mayweather promotions. You've got Golovkin's got his own promotion, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? So all these fighters, you've got to be a world-class champion that's got something behind you, that's got a backing, a fan base. So because they'll continue to back you. But you have to build that as a fighter. You can't just be a random off the street and go into the boxing game and think you're going to make money. I think we know Jay-Z. Jay-Z tried that. Jay-Z's a very rich guy. He's got a lot of money. And he tried it and failed miserably.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And like I was saying with the De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions, he had a shit ton of money. He had leverage with HBO. That if they wanted him on the network, they had to allow him to put his fighters in there. I'm not exactly sure if that was a deal, but it must have been part of the deal. So, and it took him 7 years to get started. So now imagine if you're a smaller company, you don't have a TV date, like Stu said, you don't have major fighters, you don't have billions of dollars or millions of dollars. What are you going to do? You're going to have to start locally. And that might take you 10, 15 years, man. I mean, look at America Presents back in the mid-90s. I think it was the mid-90s. Butch Lewis in the 90s and 80s, he was a good promoter, but he wasn't like Don King or anything like that. There's always 2-3 major guys, and then other peripheral type characters in the background. But if you want to make mega fights, or if you're a fighter and you want to be in mega fights, you have to get your hands dirty and sign with somebody. Again, there's exceptions, but those are minor exceptions. Like it's not real. Like some people, like
it's just not easy making money out of boxing and being a promotional company. I mean, David Hay has had his own promotion for many years now, and he's been in big pay-per-view fights, and he's still had to get Richard Schaefer in, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's had to get Richard Schaefer because David Haye doesn't have enough clout behind him to
Mhm.
be in America to be getting fighters signed or getting TV deals signed. He needs Richard Schaefer. This is what I'm saying. There's a lot to be in a promoter for boxing. You've got to have a lot of clout, have a TV station behind you, and without that, you're going to struggle. That's why Lou DiBella is comical. Really, this guy's just doing what Al Heyman tells him to do.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, even with Golden Boy, who have been around now for about 15 years now or something like that. I forget what I said before, but they're having a little bit of trouble themselves because they have Canelo Alvarez. That's their big main star. Hasn't fought so far this year, and we're already in the month of May. So they have Ryan Garcia. They're trying to make him into a star, but they're starting to they're in a little bit of a dry period themselves right now. So even with the millions of dollars, even being an established company, I mean, just look at what happened with Don King. He was there for about 30 years, and then little by little, he started being pushed out, and he's, like Stu said, close to irrelevant now. You look at the fighters, Burbank Steve Vern, Vanes Martiriosian. Do you see any successful big names in there? I don't. So anything can happen. You have to be on your toes, and it's even harder if you're going to step in there. I mean, you guys mentioned Jay-Z, well, 50 Cent as well, man. He tried to make it, couldn't do it.
Yeah, and the one thing about Eddie Hearn, right? If one of his fighters is fucking not clean out on the canvas, the oxygen masks are out and all that lot, he's not going to be in the other corner celebrating with the other guy. And that's what Don King used to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's...
Gerald McCullen was in a coma in the corner, all right, with fucking oxygen masks on him, fucking, the resuscitating him and all sorts. And this guy's sitting there licking fucking Nigel Benn's ass with his little American flag. Do you know what I mean? Absolute disgrace of a man. And Don King made money by making black people feel guilty for not signing for him. Black fighters. He used the race card. It's us against them, and that's what made him his money. The guy is a very, very intelligent man. One of the smartest men ever to grace boxing. He's a very intelligent man. But this guy would fucking steal the shit from a baby's nappy, mate.
Yeah, because you see, if you have a fighter and that fighter sees that somebody like a businessman, the guy who manages his business, a promoter, cares about his fights, like genuinely, like Eddie Hearn, jumping around the ring after the victory and all that, it's gonna motivate him even more,
That's
and
true,
it's
man.
gonna translate for future earnings for both parties. So it's a win-win situation, and Eddie knows that. He's a smart businessman, like Stu said.
And by the way, in the chat room, Sir Cryptimus says, "Can we stop talking about race?" No, we're not going to stop talking about race. In fact, you brought it up, and I think you bring race up all the time, so we're going to keep going.
What are you doing? I thought you said you researched all this.
No, I'm kidding. But this does have...
Let's be real. I'm not making this a black v white v Mexican or anything. I'm just stating a fact that Don King used that to make money in boxing, and that's why he ran boxing. He ran boxing for many years.
Right.
And that's why, let's be real, he's a very intelligent man, and he used the race card to do it. If you can't see that, then you can't connect dots. You're not very intelligent. So this is the last time we're going to respond to it.
No, well, listen, at the end of the day...
Hopkins tried to sell a fight with the race card. He was calling Calzaghe a white boy. He said, "I will never lose to a white boy." So he was obviously trying to steer the pot, trying to get some attention.
Yeah, but listen...
And I still defend Hopkins. And even though Hopkins said that, I still defend him now. Because I think he... Not that I like the guy, but I just don't think he's as bad as people make him out. So I've got no problem with Bernard Hopkins, even though he said that. So get over yourself and all this race bollocks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Bernard
the main
Hopkins,
thing.
aside from BDA, Bernard Hopkins, aside from his promotional antics, like "I'll never let a white boy beat me," he actually is a confirmed racist. Check out his interviews, when he's not involved in promoting any fight. He said that black fighters have something in them that makes them better than white fighters or Latino fighters. So that says it all for me.
Well, listen, Hopkins is a bit of a he can't even speak properly. First of all, he speaks worse.
Because
He speaks
he knew
worse
his
than I.
fights were boring, and he tried to always try to sell the fight. Like I remember when he fought Winky Wright during the last press conference, or was it the Wayne?
With the Wayne,
he pushed Winky Wright, remember, and he got fined or something.
I don't think genetics plays a part in boxing. Obviously, athletics athleticism, the speed and footwork can fight, especially with the basketball background, football background, helps in the boxing ring. But I don't think genetics. I just think it's upbringing and where you're from. And the thing in America, I know a lot of these African Americans think they've got it hard in America, but when you see some of the white people that live in Eastern Europe and see how they live, then they've got it great. And I think it's just down to upbringings. Back in the 70s and 80s, then when America had all the best fighters, then they were coming from rough places where they had to fucking fight to survive, and that's what I think, and that's why a lot of these Eastern Europeans are good fighters because look some of the conditions they were living in.
Well, that's why you have this divide between the LDBC now and the Golovkin and Lomachenko fans, because if this is a boxing, a boxing thing, so everybody wants to be the toughest guy or have the toughest fighter, and what makes somebody tougher more than living in a harsh condition, a harsh environment when you're growing up. So instead of the victim Olympics, now it's the toughness Olympics. Like, who fought it harder? No, it was the Eastern Europeans. No, it was the blacks in the ghettos. No, it was the Eastern Europeans. Like, I'm convinced some of these people would pretend to live in a shed or in a dumpster just to be able to claim that they were the most oppressed. So come on, I mean, just listen. We're having great fights now.
I mean,
the Eastern Europeans.
You just got to look at the Chavez Senior and Chavez Junior. Both same genetically. They're both the same, right? But one was born a hungry Mexican from the streets, and the other one was born with a gold spoon in his mouth.
Right.
That got his way all the time. Which is the one who was the better fighter? I mean, it's not fucking rocket science, is it?
Exactly.
So, how many posh boys do you know that actually are actually world champions in boxing?
Well, you know what? That's what intrigues me about the UFC and MMA in general, because people always make the joke, and we've made the joke before, that it's all tattooed white guys. But why is it that most white people gravitate towards MMA? I mean, is it because the jiu-jitsu classes and all that is more expensive, and they're the ones that tend to have the more access to it, or is that?
I just think, like I said, Rick Franklin is a school teacher. He was a fucking head, I don't know, what, deputy head or something like that, whatever you call him, of a school. And Rich Franklin was UFC middleweight champion of the world for quite a while. So a lot of these UFC fighters, when you hear them talk, they're very smart guys. They're not. You look at them and you think just dopey white thugs. Do you know what I mean? But they're not. They're fucking intelligent guys. I just think it's a different culture. I mean, boxing's a tough game. Boxing's a fucking tough game, man, isn't it? Let's be real. Yeah. I mean, you're constantly getting punched in the face for 36 minutes. With MMA, you can take someone to the ground and less damage sort of thing. I know your ears get all twisted up, but that's about it. Boxing is a very dangerous sport, isn't it? Boxing, getting punched in the face by big punches.
I'll say that MMA. Just real quick, I'll say MMA and boxing are just as tough, man. I think that they're both equal. They're both getting punched. They're both getting their joints fucking snapped or twisted. So and you still have to train like a madman just to make it to the top. So I think they're about the same in terms of toughness.
I respect both. But when you look at MMA fighters, their boxing is horrible. These are guys that just can't box, and maybe that's why they've gone into. A lot of them come from the wrestling backgrounds from the universities. Let's be real. And the jiu-jitsu background. So, but a lot of these UFC fighters can't box for toffee. Let's be real.
Well, maybe, I mean, but that they don't know how to box properly. But that doesn't mean it's not a stuff that their sport. You know what I mean? That the dedication that it takes to just make it. That's all I wanted to say. That to me, if you want to make it on the top of either sport, you gotta have the discipline, you have the skills, and you have to be talented. That makes a difference. The physical talent. But
MMA is a disciplined sport. You've got to learn so many things. So you've got to be very disciplined. Boxing, as you see, a lot of these fighters, they're out of camp. They're going in pubs and clubs and getting pissed up and doing coke and getting out of shape. A lot of MMA fighters are not really like that. They're fucking constantly learning new stuff because they have to. They have to, don't they? Boxing is a bit more simple. Let's be real. But
yeah, Pavel, you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say that I think a big part of the whole appeal of MMA to casual fan base is just that it looks like a street fight. You use everything, and they're almost like the rules are there are some rules, right? You cannot soccer kick. It's not pride or anything like in Japan used to be, but still, it's like the closest resemblance to the real fight. And I personally tried to show like a lot of exciting matches for some of my friends, like boxing matches, and they just said, oh, they clinch too much. The fight is boring. They don't knock each other out and all that. So I think just because the MMA has more opportunities to finish, to submit, to knock out, to ground and pound a guy is just a lot of more exciting because there are more outcomes for a casual fighter to see, and not everybody is going to appreciate the technical aspect.
That's very, very true, man. In fact, if you look at and I've said this before, if you look at the statistics of the top 10 best fights in the UFC ever or anything, it almost always involved fights where the majority of the fight took place standing up. You don't see
Yeah.
two guys rolling
Yeah.
around for 3 rounds, 5 rounds, and it's like,
Exactly.
whoa, that was a great fight. It's most people don't understand the intricacies. I certainly don't. The intricacies that go around on the ground when people are rolling. So to me, I look at that and I go, well, I don't understand like the little moves and all that. So it's not as exciting as when two guys are just duking it out standing up.
Look, I don't
That's
know.
what makes John Jones. That's what. Oh, go on, bro. Go on, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't know the intricacies and the technical aspects of grappling, of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and all that, and quite frankly, I don't really care about it. I don't want to see it, like you BDA said before. I mean, the most exciting fights are those which happen in the stand-up, and I bet like half of the MMA fans don't want to see any groundwork either. They wanted to see stand-up fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
agree
think
with
that's the
that.
problem with. I think that's the problem with MMA at the moment. I think it's got so technical and so strategy. It's all about strategy. It's got so technical that it's actually taken this excitement away that we used to get from the old school fights. Can you remember? Fucking some of the fights we used to get back in the early UFC days, and where it was just toe-to-toe wars. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think we
Yeah.
get many of them no more. It's just more, it's more technical, and it's strategy. It's like a chess match, and I think that's why the UFC is suffering at the moment. Back when Chuck Liddell was just fucking swinging bombs, that's what people want to see. I know it weren't very technical, but it was great to see, wasn't it? I used to love Chuck Liddell, man. I mean, fighters like Chuck Liddell. I remember when I loved it when he bashed up fucking Tito Ortiz.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
epic. That was epic. But you're right, man. Nowadays, they seem to be tweaking with the formula, and they found that the formula is listen, I'll take you to the ground, I'll elbow you over the face, open up a cut, you're bleeding all over the place. Eventually, if they don't stop the fight, then I ground and pound you until they do. And it's, it's all right. It's interesting to watch somebody get ground and pounded, but after a while, it gets boring. The submissions are interesting, but those are very hard to get because now everybody's well versed in submissions. So you're right. They're going to have to rebalance something or find a way to make it more
Yeah.
exciting.
I've
Because,
I've lost count of how many times I've heard the crowd booing
Mm,
in an arena when two fighters are in the cage, where they're not doing anything. It's just, I mean, Tyron Woodley's another one, isn't he? I mean, the guy don't understand why he's not liked. Tyron Woodley is a tremendous fighter, but he just doesn't want to put it on the line. It's all safety first, and the UFC fans are not like boxing fans. They don't take to that. They'll soon let you know. Do you know what I mean?
mhm.
Yeah.
And by the way, we got Apology Man on the line. Apology, are you there? Apology.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Good to have you on board.
Cool.
Listen, we're just talking about, well, we're talking about MMA right now, but I just want to get your thought. Did you hear this whole thing about Eddie Hearn and the $1 billion deal?
I just saw the headline. Nothing else really.
Well, apparently they're going to get, he signed a deal with an online company, streaming service, and they're going to be showing 16 fights on US soil. That's where they're going to be holding them. And then they're going to also televise the 16 fights from the UK. It's called DAZN, the service, and apparently it's pretty popular. They have Champions League, they have, like I said, football, basketball, American football, motorsport. So they seem to be pretty well entrenched. And I'm going to look up the price, but if it's a sensible price, would you be willing to pay for this service?
Sure. If they put on good fights, I'll pay for it.
Well, let me ask you this: how do you Where do you watch your fights or your sports? Do you have a TV and cable, or do you get them off the radio?
I used to have a TV with Sky Sports, but I got too expensive, so I don't have it anymore. So I either stream it or go to a bar and watch like my football, and sometimes they show boxing.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The price, these cable companies, they knew. And by the way, these cable companies are some of the worst are in Canada because you only have, like I said, you only have 2 or 3 competitors. That's it. There's not that much competition. These people jack up the prices. They charge you for HD, which they really shouldn't. By the way, you shouldn't be paying an extra service fee for that. The internet also, they charge you for caps of memory, which they shouldn't be able to do either. And you're left with a bunch of nonsense, and you're stuck with a bunch of overpriced products. If they simply put a sensible price, I guarantee you more people would be buying cable.
I said that, bro. I said that. I don't think Eddie Hearn's stupid enough to charge people $100 a fight. I just don't. The days of that happening in America are over. Like I said, these guys are getting stung left, right, and center. If you're a fight fan in America, man, I mean, the money you spend on fights, you could actually mortgage your fucking house. Do you know what I mean? So these guys, they're getting strict with their cash, and I don't blame them. They've been paying for garbage for years now. You've got to drop the price, drop it to about $50, and see how it goes from there. You can't be charging $100.
We're back. All right, guys. I think this is a good time to remind everybody to please mute your mics if you're gonna be silent for a long period of time, because otherwise I was re-listening to last night's podcast, and boxing stuff was making noise here and there. Okay, please mute your mic, please mute your mic. Then all of a sudden Stu's talking and we just hear a bunch of trash or something hitting the ground, and that's when I said that's enough. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? It was ridiculous.
Like I said, you don't mind when we're all sitting in our rooms and we forget to mute our mic or something, we make a bit of noise, fair enough, but this guy's going about his life with the mute button off. There's a show on and this guy's going to the shop, he's he's cooking dinner, he's washing the dishes, and it's just just mute the mic, man. It's not a lot to ask, is it?
Exactly.
Right now,
what are you doing right now, Pavel? Are you getting inside a sleeping bag or something? Because that's what it sounded like.
No, I'm just under a big blanket. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. Just please, guys, see, again, I'm hearing that. Just remember, if you're gonna make any sudden movements or anything, mute your mic. Or if you don't plan to talk for a long time, mute your mic. All right, because we hear it. It gets it can get pretty loud at a certain point, depending on what you're doing. And by the way, if you're doing something illegal, then that's gonna get you caught as well. So there's a lot of benefits to keeping that mute mic. Oh, by the way, I see we got Recognized on the line.
Don't get fooled when they tell you that the crime rate is down in New York. Every time I watch the local news, they're always talking about, well, there was a stabbing here, there was a stabbing there was a shooting there, but the crime is down.
Recognized, thanks for being on the show. We're talking about this Eddie Hearn deal that he's going to be streaming fights in the United States. We still don't know if he's going to sign anybody from the United States or who he's going to sign. But I'll ask you the question that I've been asking everybody. Would you, I know you pay a lot for cable, but at a certain point, would you be willing to say, you know what, I can get my fights if I get an HBO app or something, or a Showtime app, and then I can get this app called DAZN, which is where they're going to be showing the fights, and then you get the ESPN app. Would you be willing to cut the cable?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, how other than sports, do you watch anything else live? Do you watch any other type of programming on the fly?
No, definitely not. I don't really watch any of the shows. Nobody else in the house watches the shows on HBO either.
Right.
So it's seriously thinking about cutting it off.
Well, there you go. Because if you can, like I said, if you can diversify your streaming options, and let's say you I don't know how the HBO app works, but let's say you got your HBO app, you get your Showtime app, you get your ESPN app, and then you got the DAZN. You're pretty much covered for boxing,
Yeah.
And depending on how much they charge. Does anybody know, by the way, how much they charge for this DAZN? Because I'm looking for the prices. I don't see. I'm going to their website. They don't even tell you. They just tell you sign up and.
I remember it was 12 Canadian dollars.
Well, see, now that gets a little bit. It says in Canada the subscriptions will sell for $20 a month or $150 a year. All right, so let's say you pay $20 a month. Let's do the math here. Do the math. Like how Pistol Jean Pascal. If you do the math, the HBO app, how much is that fucking? Do you have to have a cable subscription? No, it says HBO now costs a flat rate of $15 per month. So see, that starts to get a little steep there. Let's say you only have DAZN and you have HBO. That's $35 per month. But then again, if you compare it to how much you pay for cable, which could be of upwards of $150, and if you include cable, the internet or whatever, I don't know how this would work, man. It still
I
seems.
can tell you who will not get the zone. I guarantee you they'll make videos talking about boycotting it.
Oh, I think I know who you. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. The people that hate Eddie Hearn because he's the slave owner.
Racist.
Yeah. By the way, I want to try.
The thing is about these guys, though. The thing about these guys, right? They'll sit there and say they're going to boycott it, but how is that really harming Eddie Hearn by boycotting a free stream?
Well, hold on. It's not a free. What do you mean by a free stream?
All them guys on the fucking. Well, not all of them, because I'd be wrong to say that, but most of the guys I watch on there, they don't even buy boxing. They free stream it.
Nope.
They even fucking put their links up on the hangout. So they don't buy fights. So you boycotting a free stream is not going to really affect Eddie Hearn, is it? Let's be real.
Oh, they actually,
because you're not going to be able to watch the fight.
They actually put the link on when they do their live streams on YouTube.
Cheap deal.
Some do. Some do, yeah, some do, man.
I wouldn't.
They're all sitting there talking. Oh, send us a link, man. Send us a link. What link are you watching it off? I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you talk about your links. I'm sitting here watching it in HD on 55 inch. Yeah.
Ooh, look at Stu, the big shot, because he's watching on HD. But you're right.
These guys, man. These guys. I said boycott what?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Then now everything is boycott this, boycott that. I thought excuse me. I almost gave that up there. I thought X was over exaggerating, when he would talk about these plantations. I saw a video that was from the LDBC, and the title was Eddie Hearn's plantation something. I don't remember the whole thing. So I'm wondering if X is starting a trend. I have no idea.
Is Eddie Hearn going to start a plantation in the U.S.? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think that. You know what? I have a feeling that's what it was. I think that was the title. I think you filled in the blank.
All right. Now,
so I'm saying these LDBC clowns, right? They claim to care for the black fighters, right? But they would rather see these black fighters on a bench, right, living on a bench with a fucking beer in their hands, than go and make some money if it meant staying away from the white man, sort of thing. It's ridiculous. If you care about these fighters, then give them a good bit of advice and tell them to go and sign with Eddie Hearn and go and make some money while they're still in their prime. Because in boxing, mate, you can be finished. You can be finished in 6 months. You could be at the top of your game 1 minute, and the next minute you just fall apart. It's just like that. When your body gives up, it gives up. David Haye has proved that to us. He's just gone. There's nothing there for him anymore. When your body says no more, don't matter what your mind's telling you. It's just not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Agree.
I mean, and by the way, which is talking about pay-per-views and how Mexicans they make an event out of it. I think that's the best thing when you get into a pay-per-view, invite people over. That's the main protocol, that if either everybody chips in for the pay-per-view or you pay for the pay-per-view and they bring food and stuff like that, which just goes to show how out of touch Oscar De La Hoya is. I mean, I don't know if he's still that out of touch, but back in the day, about 15 years ago, when he was going to fight Yuri Boy Campos, and that was a tune-up fight, and he was going to be on pay-per-view. And so they asked him, they asked De La Hoya, hey, listen, this fight, does it really deserve to be pay-per-view? And he said, well, listen, because they were talking about the price. And he goes, well, listen, you can make an event out of it. You invite a bunch of people, you get 50 to 60 people into your house, and they all pitch in. And then the writer wrote in the article, he says, 50 to 60 people. Like, Oscar, not everybody lives in a fucking mansion, man. Come on, get it together. Like, who's gonna cram 50, 60 people into an apartment or into a house? This guy's fucking insane, man. But yeah, the best is
Yeah, to be fair though, like I said, with Golovkin's numbers Saturday, I think you have to take into account the Mexican holiday. That although 1.3 million people tuned in, you can imagine a lot of them houses where the Mexicans are living were full of people. So definitely a lot more people watch the fight than we've got numbers for. We can guarantee that.
Well, now, yeah, go ahead, Pavel.
No, I just agree with Stu.
I was gonna say that. Oops.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Somebody talk.
No, I was just gonna
You know what Mexicans are like.
Well, hold on. Yeah, recognize. Sorry.
Go on, bro. Go on.
No, I was gonna say it's 1.36, right? But like to Stu's point, not just Mexicans, but I understand his point. But I'm guaranteeing you that you got to times that by at least 3.5, and that's the real number.
The reason I said Mexicans, bro, because this day is a Mexican holiday. There's always been a big day for big fights, and and this is a day where the Mexicans get together, families get drunk, buy the boxing, have barbecues. It's just a big day. That's why I mentioned the Mexicans.
No, and it's true.
Obviously, other people got together.
It is true, Stu, because when on Cinco de Mayo and the bigger one in September, what is it?
Mexican Independence. Yeah.
I mean, in New York, it's not like LA or anything like that, but there is a nice size Mexican population, and if you go to the areas where there's a lot of just Spanish people in general, but where it's predominantly the ethnic group is Mexicans, you see them watching the fights. That day.
Yeah, sorry, but people in the chat.
It's like that day is become more like what's the word I'm looking for? Where boxing's become part of the day, sort of thing. It's a big day for boxing, and that's why Floyd Mayweather always stole that event. He stole that date. Sorry, he always stole that date. And then when Canelo took it off him, it stopped from there. But
and then when Golovkin, did it one time, the blasphemy.
By the way,
but the thing is that this is my problem. This is my problem with that fight. Golovkin, I understand he was made for Canelo. What a day that would have been if it was Canelo Golovkin on May the 5th. I mean, what a day! I understand that, but he's got a lot of Mexican fans. He still should have given him a better fight than that. I understand the boxing politics, so he probably couldn't get a better opponent. But I'd have liked to see a top guy in there.
Yeah, I would have definitely liked to see a top guy in a Mexican fighter too. Just because it's Mexican, it doesn't have to be Mexican. I'm just saying it would have been.
Is there any Mexican middleweights though? Is there any Mexican middleweights though?
Nah,
apart from Canelo.
He tried to get that Munguia kid to go up, but for whatever reason,
Gilberto Ramirez, even if Golovkin had just gone up for one fight. So I mean, to fight Ramirez, that would have been a great event, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. And by the way, in the chat room, Boxing Comments Club says we get around to 40 people in the house, garage rooms outside, jumper and everything. And then John Gonzalez says Mexicans can fit 6 people into a coupe. A coupe de ville. I mean, I gotta tell you, that's true. And it's not just Mexicans. Recognize, you can back me up on this. Come on, you Puerto Ricans, when you get like Edward Norton said in 25 hours, the Puerto Ricans fit 8 people in a car, and when they go to the parade there, so it's not just Mexicans, it's everybody, right?
Is it true?
Puerto Ricans can live
is it true that Mexico City? Is it true?
10 people.
Okay, one at a time.
I said Puerto Ricans can live
in a
2-bedroom apartment with people.
Yeah, well, Mexicans too. I mean, anybody that's not doing well, and they need some place to stay, they'll just cram everybody into a 2-bedroom apartment. But yes, Stu, what were you gonna say?
I'll just say, is it true that Mexico City's got 20 million people living in it?
Yep. I went there a few months ago, man. It's so crowded,
Mexico City's got 20 million people. Jesus Christ, man. That's a third of our population. That's a third of our population.
Well, it's Mexico City and the surrounding areas, which all combined, it's 22 million. Yeah.
And the streets are a mess, right?
That's still a lot of people, even if we're considering the surrounding areas.
Yeah,
some
it
of
is.
them live like a little bit outside of Mexico City. That's a lot.
Well, if you get New York and New Jersey, and how much is that?
I think London and surrounding areas got 8 million, and anyone that goes to London, right, you'll drive 4 miles and it'll take you 45 minutes to get there, if that. 2 miles. It's so ram-packed. It's terrible to drive there, and that's 8 million people living there. I couldn't imagine being in a city with 20 million people. I bet it's hectic.
No, I wanted to get the fuck out of there, man. I was like, fuck.
Bicho, what's it feel? Is it mostly old people, young people, kids? Like,
it's everything, man. It's a lot of young people, but yeah,
let's be real, right? Hey, let's be real. The Mexicans ain't got to worry about baby births, are they? They're not like where white people are not having any kids and that lot. These Mexicans, they're dropping these kids out, so don't worry about that, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like Boxing Comments Club,
they're going to be a young population. Like, that's why I think Germany. They say Germany opened the door to a lot of these migrants because they're generations. They've got like an aging generation where they've got many youngsters coming through.
Exactly. It's all about getting cheap labor, man. That's pretty much it. It's about the money, man. There's no agenda. It's all about money, man.
And votes, so they can stay in
votes and votes.
Yeah, but what my point was, right? A lot of these save jobs that are not very good are for youngsters, and German people in their 40s and 50s are not going to go pack fucking strawberries, are they? So they're bringing in these youngsters. They're bringing in these youngsters, right? Because they haven't got the workers to fill these voids, and it's all about money to them, like you said. It's all about money and votes.
The problem is because it's when it becomes a cultural clash. That's when you get the fireworks. I don't want to get into it.
Like, I've seen, I've seen videos, right, of like refugees from Africa, right, going entering Germany, and so these guys were just all men in their prime, big guys, strong guys. They weren't bringing in these Syrian refugees and kids. These were big fucking guys. So it's all about, like I said, cheap labor. That's why they're bringing all these men over.
Rape refugees.
And why would
wait a
any
minute.
stupid country allow that? I mean, listen, it's no offense. If it was Europeans, all strong European men in their 20s, single, and you were just flooding them into another country, I would say the same thing. That's suicide for a country to allow nothing but 2 million all men. What do you think is going to happen?
Being cucks. Can't really say
this is why. I mean, this is what gets me about this whole topic. I mean, diversity only matters when it's in Western countries. There's no, I mean, go to fucking Saudi Arabia, see how diverse that place is. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, like I said, I don't mind any refugee that's been in a war zone and got a kid that's got a leg missing or something. And they want to get out of that. Of course, man, bring them over and give them a life. But when you're bringing over fucking guys that have been involved with ISIS and shit like that, and letting them just roam the streets of London, I mean, what cultural
and giving them benefits,
cultural fucking suicide.
The problem is there's no assimilation.
But like I said,
and there's
some. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's no assimilation. That's the problem. And there's no effort from
I can't believe what I'm hearing. I can't believe what I'm hearing here.
You're unbelievable, man. You're unfucking believable.
What happened to diversity is our greatest strength? What happened to that? You guys, I agree with Graphic Pro. You guys and your full-on, I'll say it, bigoted opinions have no place in the BDA boxing.
Full of racism.
Yeah,
xenophobia. Like,
bitch.
Hey, you know what? Let's put it this way: if England was importing nothing but people, Russian, the poorest people in Russia, the people that grow up in fucking street fight. For them, a street fight is just like taking a walk in the park, and they stab each other. I mean, listen, I saw that video. I mean, I didn't see the video, but I heard about that video, which apparently is one of the most gruesome things you will watch on the internet, about these Russian kids who knocked out a guy who was on his bicycle and then just proceeded to stab him to death. Send those kids over to England. It's the same thing. It's not about race. It's about you sending the lowest common denominator over to a country. Like Butcher said, they don't want to assimilate. And it's just,
the thing is though, a lot of these people that are coming up, a lot of these people that are coming over hate everything about the West. They've been brought up to hate the West, and the white man's killed their fucking their ancestors and did this and did that. So these people hate the West anyway, and you're bringing them up. It's like me saying, like, it's like a guy that hates me. It's like a guy that's ringing me up saying, "I'm going to kill you when I see you" and all that. And like me ringing up saying, "Why don't you just come over and live with me, mate? Let's show a bit of diversity and a bit of tolerance here." It's not going to work like that, is it? Let's be real. Do you know what I mean? So this is the problem. I mean, I'm glad I'm fucking getting to an age where in another 40 years I'll probably be dead anyway, and I ain't going to see the fucking results of this this left-wing fucking ideology that's ruined Europe. So
it's a cultural idea.
Go on, apology.
We can probably solve this problem, but I want to talk about that more on the second Renaissance.
Yeah. By the way,
I have a theory on how to solve it.
By the way, we were supposed to do Second Renaissance today, but then this news broke out, and we decided to do a boxing thing. And by the way, speaking about boxing, I'm reading the comments here.
We could do a little bit of it.
Yeah, we'll switch it up. But I'm looking here because we were talking about promoters. Now that Eddie Hearn has that deal with the DAZN, and we'll see where that goes. And we were talking about how 50 Cent tried to break into boxing, didn't work out. Jay-Z tried to, it didn't work out. De La Hoya took him years, and he had certain advantages that helped him out. Well, we forgot to talk about Dana White, because he says he wants to get into boxing as a promoter. And there's a lot of skepticism about whether he can do it. And there's also the question of whether he's doing it because the UFC, it's in a bit of a lull right now. They have no big names. So what do you think? I mean, Dana White has had a success as the CEO of the UFC. He's been, actually president, as the president of UFC. He's had success with it. He knows how to promote fights to a certain degree. I think his press conferences are more exciting and more entertaining than the average boxing press conference. So what do you guys think? Like, who wants to go first on that one?
I don't mind. I mean, let's be real. Dana White has got his work cut out in boxing. Dana White has upset a lot of his UFC fighters. He pays them peanuts, bro, right? Mm-hmm. Boxers are not going to turn up for the money that Dana White pays his fighters. They're just not going to do it. Fucking like I said, Jacobs is getting 2 million fight. Nobody. Well, I'm saying Selecki's a nobody's a good fighter, but nobody knew who was. I mean, how many UFC fighters make 2 million? Barely any of them, sort of thing. Right. He's got so much to do. You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Tell a world champion boxer that he's got to wear Reebok shorts with UFC on it, or whatever. This guy. I don't see. I think boxing has moved on. I think Eddie Hearn's like a new Kalle Sauerland, Eddie Hearn. They're the new generation, bringing new ideas. And I just think Dana White's he's one of them old American crooks from Boston, just stuck in his old ways. And I just don't think boxing is for him.
Yeah, didn't Jimmy's Corner talk about? Did he ever mention something about Dana White, Bucho, or did he mention?
Yeah, on the Steve Kim show. Yeah, he was ranting on about Dana White, how he was a crook. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's the thing. He said he had to get out of Dana White apparently said, I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast, he talked about how he had to get out of Boston because people were after him. But also the thing is, he also got beat up over in Boston, and he's got permanent damage from that. I think he's got some sort of like vertigo or something. But you got to wonder. He says it was because he was a holdup or something. But I don't know, man. I mean, suspicious. I'm a little suspicious about the real motives behind that beating. But here's what. This is an article from January on Bloody Elbow, okay? And on Bloody Elbow, and Dana White is talking about how he's talking about going into boxing, and he says, whoever an athlete is, I don't care who it is, I want to fly you out to Las Vegas and we're going to meet. I'm going to walk you through this new facility. He's talking about the UFC training facility in Vegas. Show you the gym, the trainers, and all the amenities. Jesus Christ, my spelling. Free supplements, physical therapy. We'll cook your food exactly how you like it 3 times per day, and you'll get health insurance. Now, that's all fine and dandy. But like Stu said, he took away their sponsorships with the Reebok deal. There's, for every fighter that toes the party line, there's a whole big names like Dan Henderson, Randy Couture, I'm forgetting who else, Frank Shamrock. I mean, these guys, they don't get along with Dana White because they're not getting paid what they deserve. So if you want to talk about bad promoters or whatever, Dana White has a lot of enemies, a lot of former fighters and a lot of current fighters that don't enjoy the way they're being treated.
I think that's why exactly right, bro. I think that's why Conor is struggling to agree a deal with this guy, because Conor has become such a big name. He's become such a big name. He doesn't need Dana White really anymore. But unfortunately for Conor, he does need Dana White, if you know what I mean, to be fighting in an octagon, because Dana White runs the whole thing. So I think Conor's quite stubborn. Dana White's not going to get away with offering fighters these ludicrous contracts and demands to boxers. Just not going to happen. They're not going to. UFC fighters have got no choice because they've got no other option. Dana White runs the whole thing. If they don't sign with Dana, then they ain't getting fight and they ain't getting paid. Boxers have got so many options. So
Yeah, just like Stu said, the biggest problem is the Dana White's monopoly, and that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Dana will probably change his ways. He's gonna have to if he's gonna try being a boxing promoter. What he'll probably do is use all the money that he saved, sign big names, and then anyone else wants to sign will get paid like UFC fighters. Like he'll sign like prospects and new up and comers, but you'll pay them pennies, while you'll pay the big fighters big money.
Now that's the other thing in terms of the money.
Do you know Chris Weidman, right? Chris Weidman, I think to fight Anderson Silva, I think he was on 50 grand, I think, and 50 grand for a knockout stoppage. He got 100 grand to beat Anderson Silva.
Nate Diaz got paid 20k before he fought Conor. The fight before Conor, he only got paid 20k.
But now that's an interesting point because
time you paid your trainers, paid your trainers, you're left with peanuts.
Yeah.
How many millionaire UFC fighters do you know?
Yeah, but
John Jones and Conor, really.
On the other side of that coin, the other side of that coin is that they do have health insurance and they do get to fight pretty often as long as they're not injured, and they get fight bonuses too. So, we have a bunch of fighters in the UFC who do make about 10K a fight. How many boxers do that? How are there several hundred boxers out there that are making that much money?
But they get sponsors.
What's that?
They get sponsors there, so
I can't understand. So everybody's talking at the same time. What are you saying, Stu?
I was just going to ask you a question. No, because you cut out when you said how much the UFC fighters were getting paid.
Oh well, let's say on the average, the lowest paid fighter makes 10K per fight, right? Is that better or worse than the average boxer?
My mate makes $6 grand, and he's only had 4 fights.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's boxing.
Is that total or not counting sponsorships, tickets, and other things?
Yeah, that's just the fight.
Mate. Are you on about apology? The UFC fight?
Yeah, is your friend, is it 6K altogether or not counting sponsors and other stuff?
Yeah, I think that go ahead.
All sponsors do. When a lot of these fighters are coming up, the sponsors will pay for their equipment and their travel. They won't pay for nothing else. Yeah. So it's not really big sponsorship deals. They'll get their money from the fight purse. And a lot of fighters in the UK have to sell their own tickets. If you can't sell tickets, Eddie Hearn will not even look at you. You could be fucking Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao rolled into one. If you can't sell tickets, he's not interested. Or that's what do you think he's putting Dave Allen on the cards for? The guy's fucking useless, but he sells tickets.
And that's the other thing, selling tickets. Because if you look at Dana White, listen, say what you want about his foul mouth and everything, But he did take the UFC out of the dark ages and propel them into the mainstream. But the problem is that to make it to the mainstream, they had the right type of fighters. For example, Chuck Liddell. People looked at him. This fucking guy with tattoos and a mohawk knocking people out. That was entertaining. Tito Ortiz, brash and all that. Then you had Randy Couture, Captain America. Then you had GSP bringing in the Canadians. And then you had Brock Lesnar, fucking mammoth, who came along in, what was it, 2007, 2008? And so that
bringing all
really...
these wrestling fans.
Exactly, he brought wrestling fans. So that really scooped up a lot of attention. But now they're in a bit of a dry period. My point was that they really hit gold with some of the fighters that they had, which were entertaining fighters. Now, however, if he enters into boxing, he's not going to have the same luxury of having that. First of all, that factor of novelty, that novelty factor, and second of all, he's going to have to go up against Golden Boy, against the PBC, against Hearn, against Top Rank.
And how well liked is he?
Not very well liked.
Let's be real. Dana White, right? Dana White shot himself in the foot by using the UFC to be this cultural Marxist fucking propaganda machine. Let's be real. He was feeding these fucking females. I've seen better fights outside pubs in England than after these UFC fights. I've seen female fighters in the cage. Let's be real. Misha Tate, right? They just pulled Misha Tate off. They pulled Misha Tate off the street. She had like 2 or 3 fights, right? And she was she fought Ronda Rousey and all that. But Ronda Rousey was. They were just pulling these girls from nowhere. None of them had any fucking background. None of them were built up. They just couldn't get anyone to fight Rousey. That's why she was going through these girls. They were just useless. And obviously, the girls get, like every sport, the girls have got a bit better. And as soon as these girls started learning a bit and getting better fighters, they started taking Rousey apart because Rousey weren't very good as it was. It was just.
But they sold her. They were selling this whole narrative that she could beat a guy in a fight.
Yeah, she could beat Olympic boxers and stuff like that. Oh God,
it was a good propaganda campaign. Let's be honest.
Well, I would have smacked her silly.
I think one of the reasons that MMA fighters get paid less than boxers is that boxing is a global sport right now, and it's a very dense talent pool all around. And in UFC you have Americans, Brazilians, Russians, and that's it.
But look at like this. Look at like this, boys. Right?
Rank? That MMA fighting. Do they have like amateur?
They have the Ultimate Fighter, and they have like scouting. When they scout fighters, but that's about it.
A lot of the fighters they sign up are from the gyms. UFC is a bit different. You're not really part of promotion. You're part of the gym, and that's where they find a lot of that. That's where they find a lot of their talent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, just look at the talent. Yeah, sorry, Stu. Just look at the talent pool of boxing. If such a shithole like Kazakhstan, who managed to win every Olympics from Atlanta 1996, from every Olympics, there's at least 1 gold medal. There's have to be something in it, right? I mean, the talent pool is huge.
Yeah, and let's be real with boxing, right? If you've got if you've got 3 champions on a card, 3 world champions on a card, you'll never see a woman headlining that event on a pay-per-view event in boxing. Good luck with that one. It's just not going to happen. But you cannot stick Katie Taylor on top of heading a card at the O2 Arena when there's world-class men on the card. It's just not going to happen. Where UFC, you're getting just 2 average girls. I mean, let's be real. Some of these girls are decent. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a sexist. Some of them are quite decent, but you're getting average girls topping UFC cards, and Dana White wonders why he's struggling.
Unless you create a Ronda Rousey type of fighter, but you can't anymore. It's been done.
It will happen again. It's like Floyd Mayweather. It will happen again.
Yeah, exactly. You're never gonna see.
Good.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, they tried with Paige Van Zandt, but she's even worse than Rousey. So, I mean, they tried a bit with Rose, but Rose is more like street, not that like.
That's a lesbian-looking one, isn't it? Rose. Yeah, she's not like Rousey, all pretty and stuff like that. She's like tough and gritty. That's not her personality. She's actually a very good fighter. She is. She's good.
I wasn't expecting her to beat Joanna, but she just shot me. And showed us
she's a very good fighter, but like I said, you're struggling when you start. Cyborg Sanchez, right? Cyborg Sanchez is a big name, but let's be real. This woman's like she's got to be getting nearly 40 now. She's like a gorilla. She's roided. She's roided up to the max. She's not going to be around for much longer, and there's just no names coming through. Even the men's division, look at they're all the same blocks of wood from the same gyms, and I think everyone's had enough.
Well, I think that's partly Dana's fault for not promoting. He's kind of lazy at times with promoting certain fighters. I mean, there's so much potential on the UFC roster, but they're not promoting them correctly.
I'll tell you what Dana White's problem is. People do not want to be fucking forking out for a card when at any moment an opponent can fucking pull out of a fight. How many of these cards are going to get cancelled? Or
I don't think that's all
always...
Dana's fault, though.
It's not Dana White's fault, but at the end of the day, right? This is what these fighters have got to start getting in. How many boxers go into a ring with injuries? These UFC, they get little niggles and they're pulling out of fights. Do you know what I mean?
Now I
remember Dos Anjos, Conor McGregor.
Yeah, the thing about injuries is I talked to this guy that does MMA, and he's like, yeah, the thing is the difference between boxing and MMA obviously is that in MMA, because you're grappling the whole time, even in training, you get a lot of joints that are being pulled and stuff like that. So you get a little injuries like that. So I don't know if that's true. Or
but it's only with Dos Anjos. It's true. I've know people who do MMA, but stuff like broken toes and stuff like that, a broken hand, you can fight through that. Like the other week, Khabib's training partner Zabit fought through a broken hand, so it's not really an excuse.
I don't know.
I don't like. I try to get into MMA. It's just not for me. Even though I like that kind of fighting, to me is like the closest thing to a street fight. But there's just something about it that I just can't get into it. I can't get into the whole MMA thing.
I love MMA, man.
I've been watching MMA a very long time from the early days when you used to get fucking Cowboy. When you used to get Cowboy, it was like the film Bloodsport with Van Damme. That's what the UFC used to be like. All sorts of style, just any old random fucking. One time I see a cowboy fighting a kickboxer. Do you know what I mean? Them early days, it was enjoyable. It was a freak show, but it was enjoyable. But I think when the wrestling generation came through,
that's
boring. When it got very boring for me. Because
I started
to think I'm preferring the UFC to boxing. But then when all these wrestlers came through, I mean, Josh Koscheck against Sam Tex Daly was the last straw for me.
That was so horrible.
He just humped the guy. He just humped the guy for 25 minutes, man.
Glad Dana fight him.
Say what you want about the grappling. There's a lot of technique involved and all this. Okay, fine, but let's be honest. It's not boring, and it's not why UFC fans show up. They don't show up to see a grappling match. I don't care how knowledgeable they are. It's not aesthetically pleasing.
All the biggest stars in the UFC, are stand-up fighters. Always have been. Khabib is at least he works on the ground. When he takes you down, at least he's trying to beat you up. But a lot of these guys are just laying on these guys, just trying to tire them out. It's just horrible.
It's like if you get finished like John Jones was a sign because he got finishes on the feet and on the ground. Like he knew how to grapple you properly, but other fighters would just lay on you. Like Tyron Woodley would just lay on you, wouldn't do much work. So that's the problem.
John Jones was it was a freak of nature. He reminds me a bit like Jack. He reminds me a bit like Jack Johnson. When Jack Johnson was just beating these guys up with his just range and distance and his long arms. And he's a very good kickboxer. But what people don't realize about John Jones, he's probably the best wrestler in the UFC. I mean, you got this guy. This guy manhandled.
DC.
Daniel Cormier. He manhandled Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is a world-class wrestler. You only have to see what he did to fucking Anthony Johnson. Yeah, Anthony Johnson. This guy's a world-class wrestler. And John Jones, not even did he beat him up on the feet. He took a wrestler to the ground and manhandled him, and a world-class wrestler at that. That's why John Jones is basically at his best, is basically unbeatable.
Yeah. We won't be seeing him for a while.
Well, he likes a Ricky Hatton line now and again, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he got caught again with steroids.
He's definitely on roids, man. The guy was just. He never slowed down. He was the same guy in the first round as he was in the fifth, sort of thing, or the other way around. Same in the fifth as he was in the first. Just never slowed down. The guy was on roids, of course he was.
He should be back next year, hopefully.
They need him back because I don't think Conor McGregor's in any rush to sign for the UFC. I don't.
Unless it's a big fight, he's not fighting anyone else.
He could make 3 times the money fighting Paulie Malignaggi than he could fighting Khabib.
Probably. Well, GSP might be coming back, so Conor's probably going to look for that fight.
Conor for GSP? Nah. Really?
I mean, it's big money for him, so you'll probably take it.
GSP will just take him to the ground and manhandle him on the ground, man.
Should we get back to the Eddie Hearn topic? Because
this is
we're just buying a bit of time, bro. At the end of the day, this is a 3-hour hangout. You know, we're going to talk about Eddie Hearn.
No, I know. No, I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm just saying because we have new people coming in, and they probably want to hear us talk about Eddie Hearn. But I don't know what else we can say. Do we repeat?
This is the problem, bro. I just don't know what to tell you guys. The deal's great for boxing, and that's it. You know, let's see who he signs. Let's not get too carried away here because all having $1 billion in the bank, but if you've got no fucking fighters, it don't mean anything. Mm-hmm. So let's see who he signs, and we'll take it from there.
But somebody said this. I don't remember who it was, but the difference between Al Heyman and Eddie Hearn is that Eddie Hearn has the experience. Obviously, he's working in a new setting now in the US, but he's been very successful in the UK. So, I mean, he has some experience basically, but Al Heyman didn't. You know what I mean? So yes, he had a lot of money, but he wasn't proven, to be honest.
I think America's stuck in its old ways. You know, America has always been the mecca of boxing, and I think their way is the best way. The times have moved on. And you have to bring something new to the table, something exciting. You got to remember, look at the entertainment we have now. We have the internet, we have the PlayStation 4s. You know, we don't have much time spare to be sitting there watching TV programs. So if you're going to put a fight on, it's got to be a decent fight, and you've got to have promoters promoting this shit.
And by the way, speaking of promoters, I've said it before. They need to change. You know, we're talking about how they need to change their business model. One of my favorite weigh-ins ever was when De La Hoya took on Pacquiao, and they had George Lopez emceeing the event, and he was just cracking jokes, making fun of Richard Schaefer. He kept calling Richard Schaefer Richard NyQuil Schaefer because it was so boring. And I thought they should do that all the time. A weigh-in, forget about Michael Buffer, forget having Paulie Malignaggi and Al Bernstein in between, commentating. Just get a comedian that's just gonna talk shit and make fun of everybody in the crowd up on the stage. That's what you're supposed to do. That kept me entertained. I don't know. Maybe I'm the
Golden Boy has tattoo though.
You believe?
Go ahead, Charlie. Keep dancing.
I mean, that's what they're gonna do if they keep going with the same old shit. Look! All the people that show up to the press conference for the weigh-ins, for the big fights, entertain them. Keep them entertained. Make it an event. It already is an event. A lot of people love it, but you could make it even better, man. And another thing
that's what Eddie Hearn said in his interview that I saw earlier. He said that it's not going to be just boxing. It's going to be a show where people are going to come and enjoy themselves. There's going to be a lot of things going on. So he's obviously trying to change it up.
It's like BDA.
It's like BDA. Listen,
it's like a show.
As long as
boxing entertainment. Yeah, exactly.
The Howard Stern of boxing.
Well, that's what we always try to tell people. We're not here to talk about boxing. This is boxing entertainment. In other words, entertainment centered around boxing and every other subject. So if every once in a while we start talking about mass immigration, or we start talking MMA, that's what this show is about. Yeah, we talk boxing, but it's not just boxing. And that's for everybody that's a new listener or whatever. We're going to diverge from the subject every once in a while. Sorry. That's just how it
I've
goes.
noticed with some boxing fans, they need to really let it go, get out and have a life. You know, boxing is not the be all and end all of everything. These guys, you got to be talking boxing. You got to be talking boxing all the time. I want to hear this. I want to hear that. Calm down. We do shows on a regular basis, 3 or 4 times a week at least. You'll hear everything you need to hear on the BDA, but we've got to buy time. We can't just sit here talking about Eddie Hearn's fucking $1 billion check.
Like I always say,
I'm getting bored of boxing, man. Especially like Edwin Joshua Wilder. I just don't want to hear that again.
I don't know how these people do it. These other channels that are constantly talking about Wilder and Joshua. Every day I see these videos. I'm like, what the hell are you gonna talk about every day?
Because
It's the same thing.
they're in it for views, bro. They're in it for the wrong reasons. They're in it for views. And when you put Wilder and Joshua and Eddie Hearn in a title, the views are clicking in.
exactly.
Yes.
And by the way, let's get into, since we talked about boxing, and we didn't even plan this podcast today, by the way. We're supposed to do a second renaissance, which was about, we're going to talk about nationalism. Now we're going to talk boxing. So let's get into a little bit of boxing gossip. Bucho, can I talk about the thing you told me about with the Michelle Joey Phelps?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just because
I added the files. Into
all right. Because this is just a little bit about the psychology of jealousy and that some women, especially, the way they deal with things. So Michelle Joey Phelps showed a picture of herself. I don't know if she posted it on the Instagram or something, but she showed a picture of herself in a bikini, all right? So I'm going to put the picture here. Instagram. It was on Instagram. So hold on a second. I got to resize this motherfucker. So there you see her looking at the camera. She's trying to do the model thing. And as you can tell, she's a pretty curvaceous woman, a curvy woman, you know, she's bodacious, as they like to say. She's not a fucking skinny model, a Victoria's Secret, but you know, it is what it is. So anyway, somebody made left a comment on Instagram saying, her name is Anna Stevens, which sounds like a made up name, by the way. But hold on a second. Can't resize this motherfucker, jeez. All right, so Anna Stevens says, hi, I had to make a fake account. Should I do the voice or no? Anyway. Hi, I had to make a fake account because I didn't. Okay, first of all, how can I read this fucking shit? It doesn't make sense. Okay, hi, I had to make a fake account because people keep coming on. I didn't want people coming into my real account. Michelle, honey, you do need to lose weight, sweetie. Not much, just maybe half a stone, as you have gotten way too big, sweetie. That picture you posted earlier, you look way too chop. Chop. Please don't hate. It's just you're on TV and I want you to stay on top. And then she says, hi, it's because I don't want people coming to my personal account giving me abuse and I'm giving help to somebody. I'm not saying she needs to lose loads of weight, just maybe half a stone to a stone, as she looks slightly chubby in that picture. I thought she was in better shape, but I was mistaken. And then somebody replied, one more thing. Michelle is absolutely beautiful the way she is. Well, hold on. It doesn't end there. Michelle, yeah. Michelle replied and she said, okay, let's see what she said. She said she created an account, talking about Hannah Stevens. She created an account to tell me that she's hating and she's a coward because she doesn't want people to go to her account and tell her about herself. I'm happy. I've never had a complaint about my body. No one troll is ever going to make me feel less attractive, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to point out something here. That's the nature of, everybody gets trolled. Everybody gets trolls. What?
What's going on?
Reverse it. What did you say? I didn't hear.
Is recognised calling his hooker up or something? It sounds like he's speaking all frisky.
Like, do you accept credit card? Do you accept credit cards or?
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Anyway, the thing is this. I don't want to say everybody gets trolls. The way everybody has their own different way of dealing with them. It comes with the territory of being on the internet and posting things on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But you see the way. I think this was a woman. The one that went after Michelle Joel Phelps, because she went after her the way most jealous women do, which is with the passive aggressive shit. She said the use of sweetie and honey is like, I'm just trying to help you out, honey. You do look way too big. And I'm thinking that's what women do to each other. Like they'll go up to another woman and they go, everybody's saying that your hairstyle is ridiculous, but I'm just here to tell you, you're very brave for doing it. Like, come on, that's a backhanded compliment, right there.
Now, bro. That is definitely a woman. It's funny that you mentioned this topic because there was a show on TV the other day, See Apology, about internet trolls, and these celebrity women they actually got these people to find out who these trolls were, and they showed you some of the messages, and these women trolls, they put us men to shame, mate. They are nasty. They were really
Do you
personal
know
and nasty.
50% of internet trolls are women?
Did you say the name? Did you say her name was Anna?
Anna, I think it's a fake name probably. It's a fake
Yeah,
name.
but I'm starting to think. The other day, boxing style.
Oh,
This guy's boxing style, yeah.
Yeah,
He was called Anna. Can you remember when he signed into his sister's account? It could have been just his the alter ego. You don't know. It could have been just an account he made. He's probably trolling. He's trolling Michelle Joy Phelps. It's boxing style.
it's boxing style.
I
Yeah.
can picture boxing style during the night, just as a drag, writing this
Okay, why
comment.
would you?
Yeah.
I think we've cracked the code live on BDA.
Yeah, I think
Boxing
we have.
style is the man trolling Michelle Joy Phelps.
I think you're right, man.
But by the way, from my experience, if a woman sits on the social media more, the more she gets fucked up in the head.
I
You're
agree.
already fucked up in the head, so it's gonna get worse.
Well, yeah,
Ah,
but
jeez.
if you can go a little bit more, then yeah, you can see.
I'm not gonna lie though, Michelle Joy Phelps, I'd definitely bash her back doors in.
Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with her. Here we like to. She looks like she could give you a good shellacking, if you know what I mean.
I
Good old shellacking.
reckon I reckon Billy Joe Saunders is fucking took that to school in the bedroom, innit?
Well,
In the car.
you know what? Is it possible that it was?
Johnny Nelson asked her out, and she fucking said basically no. I mean, indirectly. I remember during one interview.
No black boys.
Do you think it was Cynthia Conti that left a comment? Huh? Do you think it was Cynthia Conti that left a comment?
What do you mean? Oh, Cynthia Conti. Yeah, maybe. Or
the Asian with the big tits. What's
the
her
other
name?
Asian with the fake tits. If you take out some of these women are ugly. If you just focus on their
now wait a
face,
minute.
you notice like, man, you have nothing going on.
Take away the
Hey,
makeup.
Butcho, can you remember that other female reporter, Michelle Rosado?
Rings a bell.
You don't remember?
No.
Well, there's another female reporter, Michelle Rosado, right? I think she's Puerto Rican, and I heard a rumor about her that Terence Crawford was fucking shagging and sleeping with her, right? And
No kidding.
Right, Terence Crawford was fucking her basically, right? And she started stalking Terence Crawford outside his house. And all sort. Do you know what I mean? I think that's why she's not really she's not deep in the boxing scene anymore. I think Terence Crawford fucking got a shot out of boxing. She was stalking the guy, man. He's married, isn't he?
Can you see this?
Yeah.
Christina
You're gonna
Poncho.
leave that bitch.
Well, hold on. What did you say?
I
Apology.
saw Terence Crawford's wife.
Hold on. I want to hear what Apology has to say. What did you say?
I thought Terence was banging the other one, Christina Poncho. What's her name?
I don't know.
The South American light skinned one.
From Top Rank?
Yeah.
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 The one that looks like Rachel Danair.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah, she's all right, I'll definitely do it. If Terence is doing that, that's his best win on his resume. You know what I mean?
Right. And by the way,
hold on.
Yeah, I just want to say Boxing Style is on the line. He's looking at himself in the mirror. He's giving us a call. Yeah, Boxing Style, you there?
Fucking Buffalo Bill, man.
Yeah, he's dancing. He can't come to the phone. Well, we do have somebody else on the line. We got Precise Puncher on the line.
Dependent upon how you interpret the data.
What's up with all the transvestites in Hollywood, though? Because if you're a postmodernist and you don't have any standards, you're always going to keep moving the goalpost, and you're never going to stick to your own standards because you don't have any standards.
That's right. And by the way, before I get to Precise, I just want to tell to Boxing Style that, of course, I'm joking around. This guy, he can give jokes. He can take them as well. We're just kidding. I hope he comes on. And I hope if he's listening, he knows we're just joking around. All right, Precise, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks for being on, man. And I got to ask you, diverging here from the Michelle Joe Phelps thing a little bit, I don't know if you heard about Eddie Hearn's deal, the $1 billion deal.
Is this a boxing show now?
Hey, come on, man. Stop giving us crap. Well, you know how it goes sometimes. Yeah?
I did not get the latest news. I mean, obviously, I know it was in the works, but I just came home, actually. So enlighten me.
All right. Well, that's why we're doing a boxing show instead of Second Renaissance, because
Gotcha.
Eddie Hearn came out and he made a deal with a company called the Zone or something. It's a streaming service, and they stream NBA, NFL, from major sports. And they just signed a deal with Eddie Hearn for $1 billion venture. They're gonna be holding fights, televising fights from the UK, but they're also gonna be holding fights. Eddie Hearn's gonna be holding fights in the United States, 16. And you have to assume that if he's gonna be holding fights in the United States, then that also means he's gonna be featuring American fighters. So there's a lot of talk about this right now, whether it's a big thing, whether it's going to go the way of the PBC. I mean, what are your initial thoughts on this? You think it's being overblown a little bit?
Bob Arum is the greatest promoter of all time. You know what? This is good news, man. I mean, that's the direction boxing needs to go in, streaming. All these dinosaur networks are struggling, and it's exciting if you're a boxing fan, because the American scene with the PBC had gotten a little bit stale, and all those guys, they really need to be fighting a lot more often. And I'm guessing, I don't know what's been announced or not, but I'm guessing and hoping that Eddie picks up the PBC shambles and actually does something with that whole stable, and we get to see good fights. The more outlets boxing gets, the better. So, even if he fails, and I'm not wishing that he does, but even if it fails, it's gonna open some doors, hopefully, for somebody to maybe do it better after him. You know what I mean? So this is the direction boxing needs to go in, and Top Rank is also trying something similar, I suppose, with the ESPN app. So I can't see how this is a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. But I'm gonna curb my enthusiasm because I'm a good Jew.
All right. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about that. Yeah, go ahead,
He was
Sue.
a Jew.
I didn't know he was Jewish either. That's it. I'm out of here.
Yeah. By the way, are you kidding?
I used to like you, Precise. I used to like you, mate.
Yeah, I used to like you too, Precise. I didn't know you were Jewish.
Man, he said it a long time ago in one of his videos.
Really?
Uh,
I didn't know that.
No, I'm
well, I mean that's part of the Constitution for them, sure. That's a small part of me, but
That's probably why you don't claim a nation, Precise, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, we're all over the place. We're all over the place, especially in your wife's bedroom.
Oh. Now wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No. I opened up a can of worms, man. I'm not. I don't claim.
That was
Look,
a Jewish dig.
Hey,
Right
Precise,
there.
that's probably explains. Hey, that explains why she was smelling a bit funny the other day.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
come on.
That's exactly why. No, I'm look. It's that's maybe like 1/16 of what I am. I'm just fucking around.
You're backtracking
I'm
now.
everything and nobody.
You're
Right,
backtracking.
so yeah, like I said, I mean, this was my point about Eddie Hearn when he went to America. I know what he's like. I don't really like the guy, but he's a crafty crafty little fucker, mate, and he knows how to do business. And I knew he would come up with something like this. This is why when Precise was actually writing the guy off, I just thought, well, I don't know, he's not the sort of guy you write off. He's one of them guys that will shock it, and I still think he's going to be a decent player. I mean, when you've got $1 billion to play with, it's got to be good for all of us on this hangout because we're going to see fights.
I'm not writing Eddie Hearn off at all, bro. And I've said it many times before. I think he's, the best, if not, or one of the best, if not the best promoter in boxing, because he's a man on the street talking to any or average reporter. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that this stable of divas that he seems to be pursuing, that might not be. Look, as Steve Kim always says, the jockey is only as good as the horse, basically. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, but
We'll see
I think
what he could do with these guys.
the times we are in, bro, I think the divas are gonna be the ones that get a bit of backing from the casuals. I mean, we're in a society now where Adrian Broner is a star. I mean, the guy loses every big fight he's in, but because he acts like a fucking complete idiot and he's a dumb bastard, it's enough to get the casuals on board. I mean, you don't have to do a lot these days. Back in the day, you had to. It was a lot of work trying to make a name for yourself. These days, all you got to do is something controversial on Twitter. So.
Yeah, I mean, he can't do any worse than the PBC, man. He can only go up from there. So
I mean, you missed it earlier, Precise. I was actually saying Al Heyman. The difference between Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman. Al Heyman has no love for boxing. That 500 million he got, it was always a scam from the start. He was paying fighters ridiculous paychecks to fight bums, knowing that he's the manager and every fight he makes, he's getting a percentage. He took that money and ran with it. He didn't care about fighters. He don't care about boxing. Well, I think Eddie Hearn, I think he's got a bit of a love for the sport, even though he's in it for the money. Of course he is, but I still think he's doing right for the sport where Heyman is not.
I like Eddie Hearn. I'm just not, I don't think the product's been the best, and that's really what it comes down to. And you agree many times.
I do, of course I do, mate. I mean, some of his cards, but we're waking up. You can't keep putting on. All right, you put 4 decent names on a card, but if they're fighting fucking Bob the Builder, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? You've got to start putting solid cards on, and that's my problem with Eddie Hearn. But you've got to give him credit for.
Sorry, I still believe Anthony Joshua was one of the reasons why they made this deal possible.
No, it's not.
But no, I know we talked about it, but this guy has a lot of potential, man. If he becomes a star, man, he's gonna be on that dance.
Let me tell you something now. If I was an investor, I would not be fucking confident that Anthony Joshua is going to go his next 3 fights unbeaten. I'm just not confident that's going to happen. He's a stoppage waiting to happen, bro. Now
I don't know. I don't know about that, man. I
mean,
but
you even if he's not trying to sell, an undefeated record, and he's trying to get him big fights, I don't think a loss would downgrade Anthony Joshua that bad. It will Deontay Wilder for sure.
Yeah.
If Wilder loses, that's going to hurt him for sure.
Yeah. I was just going to say, even if that fight makes $70 million, right? That's just a dint into $1 billion. I think I don't think he can't rely on Joshua to keep this contract together because it's going to fold apart. He has to have other options. He needs to be getting American fighters on board, and quite a lot of them.
Wait, did you say?
All these promoters. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say all promoters should always have a backup plan. They should have more than. They shouldn't invest on just one guy. But go ahead.
Exactly. Did you just say $1 billion?
Yeah, Eddie Hearn's just signed a deal for $1 billion, bro.
Wait. Where's the money coming from, and do we have proof of funds?
Yes, we do. Yeah, go explain to him, BDA.
Well, apparently, I get the joke. Apparently, this is all from a press release, by the way, from Boxing Scene. So it's not. There's a lot of ego stroking going on there.
Yeah, but I've seen Eddie Hearn confirm this in an interview. So
okay, but I'm just going to explain here that it's a press release and not an article that I'm reading. But it says Matchroom Boxing, the world-leading boxing promoter and Perform Group, the digital leader in global sports media, have today announced the creation of a landmark $1 billion joint venture. So I'm assuming this isn't coming, obviously, from Eddie Hearn's part. I mean, this is from Perform Group, who happens to own the DAZN, which is the streaming service on which they're going to show the fights and all other sports. So apparently that's where he. And by the way, well, I'll ask you, Stu, because I don't see anything here from Eddie Hearn. But has he confirmed that he does have the money, or obviously there's the money is there, right? In this deal,
I'll send you a link of an interview that's out of Eddie Hearn talking about the deal and talking about the future, and he's got a smile on his face. He said he's got some big fighters planned. Mm-hmm. So let's see how it goes. Like I said, wait for him. Like I said, it's all good having $1 billion, but if you haven't got any fighters, then it doesn't mean anything. So we have to see who he signs. He's got 3 months. I think that's why he's waiting until June before he releases another presser about who he's signing. But apparently, he's in talks with a lot of the top guys in America. So we'll see how it goes.
And just to remind people that this is 16 US fights spread across the year, but that also includes the 16 UK fights that the zone is going to be televising. So that's a total of 32 fights a year. Or
they'll get the pay-per-view in UK on free sort of thing, or on their subscription. They won't have to pay for that. So it's going to be worth it, definitely.
So 3 weeks a month, three Saturdays a month. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And that's what we want, bro. I mean, like I said, I don't care if Eddie Hearn makes money or not. All I want to see is fights.
Right.
Oh, well, it's good it's good for boxing that he makes money, right? So it continues. No venture is gonna go on with people just dumping money into it. So I hope he makes money. But yeah, man, looking forward to it for sure.
See, I think that's where Bob has to start. Bob has to stop being stuck in his old ways and start. You know, I mean, it's a very communist regime, the top rank regime, isn't it? And I think he needs to get away from that to move. I mean, I know he's signing, like you said, he might be signing this deal with ESPN, but Bob Arum seriously needs to start moving forward.
Nah, his stepson's gonna take over. What's his name?
Todd DeBeuf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's younger. He's gonna probably move in a different direction.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen, mate.
You know what?
Because that's Frank Warren's problem. Frank Warren thinks he can do things today like he did things in the 70s and 80s, and it just don't work.
By the way, people in the chat room are saying that they're giving suggestions of the fights that they want to see there. Here's a suggestion: Michelle Joy Phelps against Anna, her internet troll. That would be a good fight, man. And I don't know if, why not? Or Michelle Joy Phelps against what's her name, Cynthia Conti. But it's the winner has to, in order to win, you can win by decision or by ripping the top off your opponent. I think that would be a sensational event. I think we'll do pretty good numbers, man, as an opener.
Every time you get hit with a shot, you have to take an item of clothing off.
Absolutely.
Am I the only one who thinks Cynthia Conte looks like a lady boy?
No, you're not.
No, I agree. I agree.
I didn't want to. I mean, listen, I think she's.
I don't think so.
No, listen, look, I'll be honest. She doesn't. It's her voice that sounds a little weird, but whether she looks
horsey.
like.
But you focus on the boobs, man. But focus on the face. I'm trying to tell you, people. Focus on the face.
This is the problem with society today. Some of these Asian guys are so feminine looking that we're actually saying that Asian women look like men. I mean, it's ridiculous. Just I mean,
I like Cynthia Conte. I think she looks good. Her voice, I will agree. It's a little bit. You can get a little grating, but I don't think she necessarily looks like.
Just put a pillow over it.
Just put a pillow over her. And what if she suffocates? What if she suffocates? Fucking psycho.
Not to look you in the eye. That's all.
Listen, the thing is though, you know what makes me laugh about a lot of guys? They'll sit here and give it the bravado. No, I wouldn't fuck her, man. No way, man. I'd turn her away. But you know, mate, they'd be up that like a rat up a drain pipe if they ever got the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
And by the way, switching here a little bit to another piece of juicy gossip. I don't know if you guys heard, but Abel Sanchez, and it was just a matter of time before people snapped at him. Canelo snapped at him back when they were doing the press conference a couple of months ago. And now the president of Golden Boy Promotions, Eric Gomez, just called Abel Sanchez. Well, I'll read you the quote. Abel is a crackhead with the shit talking that he's doing, said Gomez. He's just talking a bunch of nonsense, making all these accusations, just a bunch of fucking nonsense. I think this is the first time, ladies and gentlemen, that I've ever heard a member of a promotion call another trainer a crackhead. I think more promoters should be doing this. May I also suggest the insult cocaine addict?
Fat crackhead.
Yeah, or even like, I think he could have gotten more points if he accused Abel Sanchez of doing bath salts. But anyway, what do you guys think about this, man? I mean, things are getting pretty heated between the Golden Boy promotion outfit and Abel Sanchez.
I always thought that Abel Sanchez was a crackhead looking type of person.
What the fuck?
I mean, he's Mexican, he's 6 feet 2 inches tall. He's got a lot of weight on him. He looks exactly what a crackhead looks like.
I detect a hint of sarcasm there.
So do I, man. Guy at 500 sarcasm is going off the charts here.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, that's your job. You're supposed to detect sarcasm.
I like Abel Sanchez. I think the guy's a very good trainer. Simple as. Listen, let's not pretend Angel Garcia has said a lot worse. This guy said far worse than Abel Sanchez has ever said. But it's all about Golovkin. Abel Sanchez, if he wasn't the trainer of Gennady Golovkin, he wouldn't be getting any hate. It's just they're hanging on him to get a Golovkin because they just can't stand this guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to.
And by the way, another item of news related to all this. This is again from Boxing Scene. It says Eric Gomez says Canelo will start testing once the deal is done for the Triple G fight. Gee, what a coincidence! Who would have thought that they would do that?
Oh god.
In other words, he won't start
What a
testing
joke.
until the
Piece of
fight.
I
shit.
read that too. Yeah, I was reading that from Keith Idek, right?
Yeah, Keith Idek. I mean, come on, man. I mean, if somebody wants to tell me, look, I'll be fair. I don't know who's choosing. I mean, I assume, like most of us here, assume that almost every tough fighter is doing something illegal, but we can't accuse anybody because we got no proof. But when you have things like this being said by the president of Golden Boy Promotions that Canelo will not start testing unless a fight is signed, what?
Well, but that makes him a liar too, because he said, "I'll do every test that you require of me." And last I checked, whenever you test positive with VADA, they immediately put you on a special program right away, and they just test you up the ass. So he's full of shit. He promised something he couldn't deliver, and now he wants to tailor the testing program to fit his fucking cycle. In my opinion.
He said he would test every day until the day of the fight.
Oh,
Exactly.
Before. Now he changed his mind. Now he's like, I won't test until we sign the fight. But
The
before
thing,
that, he said he would. So, anyways, yeah.
yeah, sorry, Butcher, I didn't mean to interrupt you, bro. I was just going to say the thing with boxing, they make their own rules up as they go along. There's no structure. There's no one to there's no one to answer to. So Canelo could just go along and bribe these fucking old geezers to go along with the story. And this is what I'm saying. Boxing is a joke. That we need to start getting a foundation here where fighters have to answer to these fucking steroid charges. They're just doing what they like. But I mean, I watched a video the other day, right, where they was talking about even if you've got money, no man can just go and buy an American football team or a soccer team. You have to have you have to have clean records and all sorts of stuff. You have to have a lot of history in finance and all that. But in boxing, any man on the street can get involved in boxing and be a big player. You could get a drug dealer, just get lucky and start controlling boxing. And that's why boxing is miles behind other sports.
Yes, sir.
It
That's
is
the truth.
it just defeats the purpose of unannounced testing. Like, you're not supposed to know when it starts, when it ends, when they're coming. You're not supposed to be in control of any of that. Somebody else is supposed to be overseeing that, and you're just supposed to hike up your fucking sleeve and give him your vein.
That's a good point, man. Now here's the other thing. There's people are speculating, and I'm reading this from the Sure Dog Boxing Forum. Somebody says that Canelo is probably doing this, that they're in order to pressure Golovkin, to sign the fight. In other words, they're trying to say, listen, if you sign the fight sooner, I'm testing sooner. Does that sound like something that might happen, or is that logical, or is that just a far away theory?
Doesn't matter though, BDA, because he's still going to lose it.
You got to remember, when you sign up to VADA, right? It's not just the tests that do your head in. You've got to be available at all times. You've got to tell him where you're going. If you're not going to be around, you have to text them, and it is inconvenient for a fighter. So this is the problem with a lot of these. And these girls can go and get tested, a pregnancy test, for about £5, $10, whatever. They can find out if they're pregnant or not. But yeah, it's costing $4,000 or $5,000 to drug test a fighter. This is where it's wrong, and this is why a lot of fighters don't want to sign up to this shit, because it's just too expensive, and it's inconvenient.
Canelo's gonna fight Spike O'Sullivan next anyway, you know what I mean? So him saying that they need to rush the fight, or somebody proposing that theory, it doesn't make any sense to me. Canelo will have a little tune-up fight, and he'll fight somebody some no-hoper, and it doesn't make any sense to me, that theory. It just doesn't.
Well, there you have it, guys. This might just be more diva-like behavior from the A side in this promotion. But listen, I mean, this fight, I think we're all tired of talking a little bit about it. If it happens, if it happens. If it doesn't, whatever Canelo does, and especially if he doesn't fight Triple G, he's just gonna be shooting himself further in the foot, because his reputation is ruined at this point. It's gonna be very hard for him to get it back.
So the thing is with Canelo Alvarez, right? Although he's the unlucky one, shall we say, that got caught, because there's a lot of them out there that got people backing them and hiding their fucking drug using. So let's be real, Canelo just got unlucky, right? But he has fought the best around. You can't knock guy, man. He's fought everybody and everyone that was put in front of him. All the fans said, "Fight this guy, fight Lara, fight Trout, fight this guy, fight Kato, fight." Mate, he fought them all. Do you know what I mean? So you have to give this guy credit, but unfortunately, the steroid use. I mean, let's be real. Roy Jones, like I said the other day, Roy Jones, no one mentions his drug use, but Canelo is getting tortured for it. So it's a bit of hypocrisy going around.
Especially in the age of social media, Canelo's gonna get fucked. Like everybody's gonna mention the clenbuterol issue whenever Canelo has a fight. So
he won't be able to live that shit down ever.
This is
yeah,
my theory. I think it's to discredit GGG's record. That's just my theory.
How so?
Yeah.
Because if Canelo's called a cheater, then people think, oh, he's not as good as he is, or he wouldn't have won those fights like against Lara and Trout if he wasn't on that steroids.
All I know is Triple G better be, when he's in the gym, I'm not saying in any of these fights, but he better be stacking his hand wraps and getting used to fighting in these types of wraps, because when it comes to fighting Canelo, he better stack his shit too, because you know they're going to let Canelo do it. So hopefully Triple G does as well and then comes to the ring with a little bit of extra punching power. You know what I mean? Stack that shit. Get used to it. Get the feel for it and practice that shit, because when the day comes, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Boxing's become so corrupt. These fighters, a bit of advice to any fighter out there: you cannot be going away from home to fight somebody on their own turf and expect to get a points decision. Expect things to go your way. You have to go. This should be your mentality. Every fight you go in, you should be going for the KO, because boxing is so corrupt. Like I said, boxing is a sport where one man can take your fucking zero away from you just because he's been paid on the side. It just what your career is in one man's hands, sort of thing, and it's not it's a Russian roulette sport.
It absolutely is. It's one of the they call it the toughest sport. Well, one of the toughest, and it's for that very reason. And it doesn't help if somebody else is fucking juicing or stacking their hand wraps. But Canelo, I don't think. Listen, boxing fans as a whole, we're fickle-minded for the most part. You know, a guy could be finished after one bad performance, and then all of a sudden he goes on a 2-fight KO streak. Whoa! All of a sudden, everybody, he's back. So with Canelo, maybe he comes back and does something amazing and people will forget about it. I don't know. All I'll say is, playing off of what Stu said earlier, I was a fan of the guy because he was fighting everybody. He was entertaining while at the same time showing the sweet science, counter punching, variety of punches and all that. But then after this past year, man, I mean, you can't really enjoy his performances because he's acting like a diva, and you gotta wonder about what he has in his system. So that's my opinion on Canelo.
I don't think the steroids though have made him the talent he is. I think this guy is just naturally very, very gifted fighter. But obviously, the steroids are there to put on muscle and stamina and what he needed to fight Golovkin. He had to take drugs to compete with Golovkin, and that's the game.
And probably, and probably had to take him to beat some of the guys.
Canelo, I think this is again a theory. Just a theory. I think Canelo, I don't think he really wanted the second fight out on May. I think he needed a little bit more time.
I saw some rumors out there. Exactly. But I saw a rumor out there from some YouTube guy who claims that the evidence will be forthcoming that Canelo basically did what you guys are saying. That so far it's a rumor, but it's going to come out in a few days. How true that is, I don't know. But
in a few days,
we'll find out.
Canelo is not stupid, guys. I mean, we got. He's not a dumb man. If he's been taking this stuff, he knows how to cycle off. He knows this was, to me, it just seems like there was some bullshit going on. Either De La Hoya was involved. Like, I've always got this, and this is a theory, okay? That's all it is. I've always got the feeling that he was either De La Hoya who threw a monkey wrench. He was like, look, I know you want to fight him, but I don't think you can beat him the second time around. I think it's not gonna be good. It's not the right time. And
Triple G was a.
Go on, P.
The fuck got up? What the fuck got up in your ass, dude? You're so nice today.
I'm always fucking nice.
Oh man, you guys are too fucking polite. I'm out of here. No, I'm just fucking around.
was,
Look, Canelo was.
I've had plenty of air, bro. It's nice to hear your opinion, but I've got a delay. I've got a delay, so when I'm talking, I don't mean to interrupt you. It's just the time I talk in and you come in, sort of thing.
Oh God. Okay, thanks, Stu.
But if
Look,
you start interrupting me, then we'll have problems. So now let's check it.
hey, Stu, I had fun the other night. You know what I mean? I was having fun, so it is what it is. Anyway,
listen, bro. I thought it was fantastic. I love a bit of fucking banter, shall we
yeah,
say?
fucking
the
A.
people.
Anyway, so Triple G was a 4-1 favorite going into the first Canelo fight. Now, then we find out about the clenbuterol hand rubs, corruption, blah blah blah. Going into the second fight, Triple G is still a 3-1 favorite. After all that shit, he's still a significant favorite. You know what I mean? So Canelo wasn't confident, in my opinion. He
Yeah.
was talking a whole bunch of shit like he wasn't too.
What I was surprised with is the amount of muscle Canelo put on in just one camp. It was like he fucking exploded. And I think what Canelo's problem was, he was used to being the bigger guy in there and throwing his weight around. When he got in with Golovkin, I think he realised the weight difference, the strength was a massive difference, and he knew that in the second fight that he was going to have to build up muscle, put on weight to compete because he knows Golovkin's going to be a better Golovkin coming in there. So I think that's why he got caught, because he went over the top with the steroids. He tried to beef up too big to compete with Golovkin.
And
By the way,
I also think De La Hoya understood that Golovkin, who, with all the advantages that it seems, right, allegedly, he could have had Canelo, and he still couldn't. He was in just to compete and really come out on the losing end. I think they thought to themselves, look, this could be a career-ending kind of fight because Golovkin's going to go for the kill. He's going to try to, not that it would definitely happen, but that's a risk that you would have to take if you was to fight Golovkin, because Golovkin gave me the impression that he was going to try to knock him out in the second fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we saw.
and the only way you're going to stop Golovkin from knocking you out, you're going to have to knock him out. And he's a hard man to knock out. He just is, man.
all right, can I just say something? Like, Jimmy, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, now do me a favor, man. Yeah, do me a favor. If you're gonna be silent, could you please mute your mic, because we get a lot of background noise lately, and it sort of
Can you hear me?
people. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, brother.
All right, perfect, Jimmy. First of all, thanks for being on. And like I was saying, if you're gonna be silent, could you please mute your mic so that we don't get, because we tend to get a lot of background noise from people lately, and it kind of disrupts a little bit of the show.
So you got to help me do this, brother. All right. So what do you want me to do? Silent my mic when I'm not talking?
Yeah, on the Hangouts, there's an icon. There's a microphone icon.
Yep, I see that. I see that little sucker right there. Alrighty.
No. Yeah, but it's. Yeah. Okay. There you go. There you go.
Okay, there I go. Okay, so when I'm not talking, hit that bitch. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Didn't even know that.
No, don't worry about it. Hey, by the way, listen. First of all, again, thanks for being on. And we're talking about Canelo versus Triple G, and that Canelo is now saying that he's not. Well, actually, not Canelo himself. Eric Gomez, the president of Golden Boy Promotions, is saying that Canelo is not going to test until the rematch is signed, which gives him, as you know, room to inject whatever he wants into his system right now. What are your thoughts on this rematch? Do you want to see it, or is it just...
No, not at all. Not at all. Not even a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that makes me wrong. Just I have no interest in it at all. I was a big Canelo guy. I was for years. I just liked the kid. But my respect level in the things he's doing, his arrogance. I don't know. I tweeted out yesterday. I said when Mayweather passed the torch, his arrogance and his fucking diva persona went along with it. It's just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Now, can I tell you something I heard? I ran into somebody who knows people and knows people good, where it's in tight with some people over Golden Boy. And I can tell you what I heard, that first off, there's the two people who run Canelo, right? The father and the son. The father's a good dude. I guess Eric gets along with him. Oscar gets along with him. The son is supposed to be a fucking moron and a cocky prick. But this way, See, shit, I can't say that because then, yeah, I wouldn't. I don't. You know what I mean? It'd be like if one of you guys told me something, and I was asked not to
Oh,
say
right,
so.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, somebody in the media. Put it this way: somebody in the media, you guys know, and is even keel and gets along with everybody. Can't stand this dude. That's how much of a prick he is. I'm sure it'll all come out. But and Canelo. And Canelo's in a situation, put yourself in Oscar's position, right? You got a handful of prospects, some decent looking ones, Jojo Diaz. I don't know. I think if he had a little more bang, he could be, you know. But Canelo is the only dude who's keeping the lights on at Golden Boy, and it's fucking keeping Oscar and, the fucking nice cars and whatever party favors he wants to buy, So they got a cowtail to this kid. And I'm telling you right now, from what I've heard, Eric Gomes is not happy with. Remember about 2 weeks ago, Eric tweeted out something about his surgery, and Canelo didn't respond with, "Oh, there was a miscommunication." He straight out said, "Yeah, I don't know why this," and he just basically degraded fucking Eric Gomes, the president of Golden Boy, saying, "I don't know where they get this information, but that's not how it went down." So you can tell that there's not discourse, but they're not tight. And from what I was told, again, and it seems to be playing out, especially after seeing what he pulled with that bullshit of bad mouthing Eric in the fucking social media. He's got them by the short and curlies. He's the one who's running that show. I mean, really, what can he say? And I heard they're scared shit that he's going to leave. Now the fact that fucking, think about it. Eddie Hearn's running around with $1 billion. Hey! I mean, come on, right? Fucking, that wouldn't be a fucking snag grabbing Canelo, who I think his contract is up in, what, a year? I don't think he has many more fights left on his contract, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody might know more about that than I. But because of that, now if you're Golden Boy, you lose Canelo. What do you got? King Ryan? That fucking lunatic? You know what I mean? That kid's a knockout waiting to happen. And can I tell you what I was told about him too? This is what I was told about him. Doesn't listen to anybody. Like they bring people into his camp. The first time they say bop bop bop, he says fuck you. The father bounces him. He doesn't listen to anybody, and he definitely pays more attention to his fucking Instagram account than he does his technique. I mean, lost.
Like Chris Eubank Jr. then.
Lost. And that kid coming, I mean, he went the distance with that kid who's, come on. They brought that kid in to get fucking beat up. And lost. The minute that anybody comes in that, inside his space, he's done. He can't fight on the inside. He doesn't know how to fucking throw in an angle. And he drops his right hand and leaves his. Tank Davis would decapitate that zipperhead. The fuck was he thinking?
By the way, we didn't talk about Ryan Garcia. I would like to talk about him at some point and get you guys' opinion on how he looked and what his potential is. But getting back to the Triple G versus Canelo thing, it's interesting what Jimmy just said about how he's technically he's running the show over there. But now we were talking about the positive test. Did it ring any bells for anybody else? How this guy has a lot of money. I'm talking about Canelo. A lot of money. He has the money to buy the best stuff on the market, and he gets popped through a urine test, not a blood test, a urine test. That's what I heard. I heard it was a urine test. I don't know what you guys heard, but that seems fishy to me, man.
It wouldn't be blood. They wouldn't be drawing blood. It was urine. Those VADA tests, when they come and they show up your house, they piss you.
That's what I'm saying is because we were talking about here. The guys were talking about the conspiracy that maybe Canelo wanted to get caught so that he could delay the rematch or maybe get more time to cycle or something. And I'm thinking
the thing is though, bro, you don't put a fucking stone of muscle on by eating a steak in Mexico.
Exactly.
This fucking guy has been on serious drugs. Look at the muscle he was putting on. He knew that he was not strong enough in the first fight. He got lucky with the decision. He's a very good fight, Canelo, and he fought Golovkin's hardest fight without a shadow of a doubt. And he was. He was a very good fighter in there, but he just weren't good enough, weren't strong enough, weren't big enough. He knew that. So in the second fight, he was piling on pounds and pounds of muscle. And when you take that steroids, then you're going to get caught.
I think that Oscar De La Hoya and his old team surrounding Canelo, I think that they have done everything in his favor that they could do. And that draw card, that Adelaide Bird card, was the last resort. And it generated the most controversy.
That's a good point, Pavel. It's like that was
all the
their.
steroids, all the casting, all the other bullshit. It was, the first option, and
Well, there. I mean, yeah, it's a.
It's like a street fight. It's like a street fight, right? You give the guy, all the advantages on his side, his neighborhood. He has the crowd with him. So the other guy feels a little intimidated if he starts whipping his ass, and he still can't pull it off.
yeah.
Yeah.
In that score, 118. What did you score? 118, 110 for Canelo? Isn't that what
Yeah.
Bird scored it for? I mean,
10
that's
rounds to
fuck.
2.
That's criminal, right? That's fucking straight
Well,
up.
the Floyd Mayweather one weren't as well. Someone had, I can't remember who it was, had Canelo beat Floyd Mayweather. I mean, let that sink in for a minute.
No, it was
Draw card.
one judge had it a draw.
A draw, sorry. Sorry, it's a
And
draw.
the
But a
other
draw,
two,
giving Canelo a draw is like giving him the victory. It was that bad.
Same thing with the
Well, I
draw
mean,
versus Triple G.
It was the same judge, as far as I remember.
CJ Ross, actually.
No.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, another lady. It's like I don't
Ladies
know if
can't
they're
stop
like using these women to just kind of say, "Oh, oops, she's a girl. She doesn't know anything about boxing." I don't
that's
know.
exactly what
It's a
that is. I
perfect
mean,
excuse.
Yeah.
my opinion.
I think these females. I think these
Well,
females. They see a bit of sweat flying in the air, and they're pressing their button, aren't they? They're just, let's keep it real.
all right,
Clueless.
can I ask you guys a question? Obviously, you're so vested into boxing. Somebody brought this up, and he was explaining how he would do it, and I'm like, why wouldn't they, take maybe a couple of small regional cards somewhere and try this? Take the judges, right? Judges, unfortunately, are human, right? And what happens? You cannot not get affected by like Andre Ward. Every time he threw a jab, his fucking people screamed. Judges get affected by the energy of the crowd. There's no doubt about it. It's home cooking's all about. Now, if you had the judges, not even at the ring, but in a booth somewhere where they can, sound it off, where they don't hear nothing, but they have video monitors. Where I'm telling you right now, if you ever watch them at the fights, leaning around the ropes, trying to get around the ref, they miss so much shit. People
100%.
at home
Great
have a
point.
better view.
That's a fucking
People at
great
home.
point. That's a fucking great point right there, Jimmy just said.
People at home have a better view. I'm telling you right now, the TV and the monitors and the HD, we can see the fucking count the hairs on these dudes' face. Now, NHL, everybody's doing instant replay. So if you had the judges in the stadium, but stay off behind everything in these crazy they can sit there and just, even they have somebody, an assistant next to them, or rewind this. At the end of the round, that minute while they're resting, if they want to go back and check to see something, was that a knockdown? To at least clean it up, because then there's no excuse. Then they have, I missed it. How'd you miss it? You have a fucking replay. It's just, why not test it? I'm not saying change it overnight, because this is, nothing changes in this sport overnight, but it's archaic. You get referees who don't stand still, getting in the way, and these guys, you can watch the fight. Sometimes if the fight sucks, I'll watch and they're leaning around trying to catch views. I'm like, really? Because I'm sitting here with my fucking chair smoking a fatty. I'm having no problem watching this.
There's no better way to score a fight than from a live broadcast TV view. We as fight
I'm
fans
of the opinion.
we see the best view of anyone in that arena.
Especially
Judges,
with
like you
no
said,
commentary.
spot on, bro. Half the time, the ropes are blocking things. The fighters' backs are to you, so you can't see the shots landing. The referee's in the way.
The
It's
crowd
very, very hard.
changes the sound. That affects everything.
Like you said, you hear the crowd screaming because there's a glancing blow.
Exactly.
I agree, Stu. I agree, but the problem with that is that you're giving the guys in the truck, so to speak, a lot of control here, because they could start playing with camera angles and start showing you, let's say, the B sides, uh, the A side's back versus the A side's face, right? Let's say if they even only do that 75% of the time, you're not going to be able to see as well the punches landed on the A side, and you're going to have,
I don't see that happening because
Well, now
broadcasters,
I was
if they're
thinking
charging
too.
Hold on, you go first.
if broadcasters are charging you big money, right, they're going to give you the best view, the best shots. Broadcasters not in it to, say Kovalev Ward, show us fucking Andre Ward's back so we can't see the punches landed. It don't really work like that, bro. As a fight fight fan, you could say as a fight fan that you haven't seen that happen on a broadcast live.
I have actually. I've noticed a few instances where I feel like I'm seeing this guy's back more than the other guy's back, and you, dude, look, I have a background in photography, and there's a lot of things you can do with angles and cameras to make to basically make things look a little bit more in favor of
Yeah,
somebody
but we're
else. I
not
mean,
gonna, we don't allow them to do that, bro. You can't allow, you've got to watch it live. Give the score at the end of the round. There's no fucking replays here where you can check things out. Just do it as we see it live, and it's going you're going to get better results. I
I
agree.
Guys,
think you're giving
there's no
boxing too much
incentives.
credit, bro. Yeah,
There's no incentives on
Okay.
getting it right. There's no
yeah,
incentives
exactly,
in getting it
exactly.
100% right.
Because
Yeah,
there's
Three piece.
no.
You want to say something?
Yeah, well, I was obviously no. Precise makes a good point. Like the NHL and most of those places, they don't just even the NFL, the referees when they look under the hood, right? They're not looking just at what we see. There's certain cameras that we don't see that the officials see. Like in the NHL, they have a bunch of cameras set up. If you had a camera angle directly above encompass the whole ring, so that would be in there. Like I'd have 3 TVs that way they have an oval. They could look down at it. They could have maybe even just situated one camera that never changes angles, just overlooks. They'd have to work the bugs out. Obviously, be one of those things. I just think it's not working. I mean, how much of a fucking sample size do we need? I mean, I've been following this fucking sport for a decade before a lot of you guys were even born, and this is the same conversation that's been going on forever,
because they want it this way.
decades.
They want it to be this way.
Exactly.
There's no
It was
incentives
actually
in changing, getting it 100% right. You can't fix how the odds that way. You can't. There's a lot of things you
Yeah,
can't do when you start getting it 100% right.
Well, it was a
You
lot
see,
better. I'll tell you right now.
other sports have to do that. They have to do that. Like other team sports and for the most part, some single sports, right? Whereas an individual, it's tennis or any
I
other.
I
yeah. If they if
personally,
they if they got it right, Floyd Mayweather would have had arguably 2 losses, let's say, on his record, and that's millions of dollars lost in revenue.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
well, I'll tell you right.
Do you think we should start getting some of these ex-fighters in to score some of these fights? When you look at these judges,
Absolutely.
they're all fat slobs that have never been in a fight in their lives. I don't know how they got there. They don't even know how they got there. I mean, let's be real. Let's get some proper guys that know what a fight's about. Do you know what I mean? Look at the
But
state
it's
of the judges.
still
That,
incompetence. In my opinion, incompetence only really accounts for maybe 5% of errors. Because when you look at these guys, these judges' records on BoxRec, and you look at how they score some minor fight that nobody gives a fuck that you have a chance to see, they get it right. They always get the shit right. It's only
Can
when it comes to these big fights where they start fucking up. These people are
Yeah.
competent. They're
can I
corrupt.
bring up one point?
Adelaide Bird, she might as well just sell herself down the back alley, mate, because that's what she's doing.
Go ahead. Three piece.
shit, what was I going to say now? What Stu said, brilliant point. In fact, the NHL just actually, they're putting on a huge thing right now where they're trying to hire a full court press. They're trying to catch guys in the early in their career. They're upping their incentives. They're giving them more money. And they're actually meeting with guys who are after a couple of years in the minors, and they're not going to make it to the show. And they're approaching them and saying, listen, we need guys like you. We need more guys who play the game, who understand the nuances and the subtleties and what's really going on. Like Adelaide Bird doesn't know fucking dick. The fuck does she know about boxing? And if you guys ever seen what you have to do to fucking become a judge, you have to show up. You know what I mean? You have to fucking pay a $10 fee at the amateur level. I don't even think you're able to be fucking vetted anymore. It's ridiculous. And then you just who you know, and you bump your way up the line.
Yeah,
And her husband.
I know Errol Jarrett. I know Errol Jarrett has been a judge at fights, and this guy's just a YouTube channel. Just turned up at an event, and they've let him judge a fight. So everyone's dropped off.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Like, look,
I'm
I
back.
don't disagree. Adelaide Bird doesn't know shit about boxing, but that's precisely why she's being allowed to judge. So to me, you guys are talking about putting a band-aid instead of getting rid of the root problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And can I bring up one point? Forget about the judges. Look at the referees. For example, Kenny Bayless. He was officiating fight Floyd Mayweather versus Marcos Celcino Maidana, and the guy basically, I mean, he was horrible in that fight. And when I see the same Kenny Bayless officiating a fight in Europe, it's a night and day difference. The guy's actually enforcing the rules, so he's actually a very good referee. It's just the money.
I mean, Joe Cortez, another one. I keep hearing the Hall of Famer, one of the great refs of all time, Joe Cortez. I fucking hate that guy, man.
Oh,
He's a jerk.
This guy was a fucking paid puppet. Look at the Mayweather hat and how he ref that fight. And people are telling me that guy's the best, one of the best of all time. Get the fuck out of it. Mills Lane's the best ref of all time.
So, okay, is it working?
Hello?
Oh,
Was it,
are you
was
guys
it,
there or what?
I think
Yeah.
Steve's just finished. Someone
Oh,
else
okay,
is just
okay.
I could do a better job than most of these refs, and I don't have any fucking experience, but I could do a better job than some of these guys. You know what I mean?
I mean,
It's not that hard.
The ref in the Kovalev Ward 2 fight, can't remember because it's late now. My mind's gone blank. I'm tired. But he was absolutely dreadful. It's probably the worst referee performance I've ever seen in a boxing ring.
Second worst. The first fight was even worse, bro. The first fight was worse.
And that includes the ref that let Emil Griffiths kill a guy in the ring by letting Emil Griffiths hit him about 30 times unanswered. And I think that was a worse performance than that. So dreadful.
Somebody explained to me how was it Tony Weeks, I think it was in the first Kovalev Ward fight. Someone explained to me how he allows Andre Ward to grab both of Kovalev's thighs and try to bring him down to the ground like 3 or 4 times in that second round. How do you allow a guy to do that? How did he allow Andre Ward to low blow him 6 fucking times in a row, hit him on the kidneys? You know what I mean? Like how do you even allow that type of shit? He knees him in the fucking face when Kovalev goes down in like the 9th round or something. Andre Ward just walks and knees him in the fucking face and breaks his nose or makes his nose bleed.
Yeah,
I think it was Bird in the first.
I
think it was
fucking can't
Bird in the
stand
first
Andre
fight.
Ward.
What about what he did to Kessler? What about what he did to Kessler, man?
Oh, God.
The guy didn't even get warned once. I mean, he was like, the guy was flying in with fucking Superman headbutts, and nothing was said. Kessler was getting warned for holding. I think. Fucking. That's why I don't like this sport.
Yeah, that's why I turn to UFC. But they ain't much better either at times.
Obviously, I do love this sport, but it just makes me sick to my stomach.
Am I silent right now?
No, we can hear you, bro.
No.
Oh, you can hear. I guess I didn't hit that right. So I guess I dropped off.
What's your opinion of Andre Ward, bro? We're just talking about Andre Ward. What's your opinion on it?
Very, very, very cerebral fighter. Very intelligent kid. Very smart kid. Bitter. I think that killed him. His father dying young, losing his father got him anger. I think that's where a lot of his bitterness comes from.
He's got your Irish blood, isn't he? He's got your Irish blood. He's got Irish blood, isn't he? Andre Ward.
And he's fucking, you can see it in him. He's angry. And the fact that and I really realized it when he went to water, when they brought up his father and it took him about 2 seconds. The fact that he would bring tears to his eye within seconds, that's deep. That's obviously a fresh wound for him. So and I think he finds a way to win. He's smart. He knew to go to Kovalev's body, and I'm telling you right now, there's nobody going to tell me that, but it's all come out in the wash now. John Jackson, right? They didn't like each other. There's no gray area there. And he was on the phone. You can't tell me that fucking Ward didn't go into that fight, didn't know that Jackson, wasn't telling him, hey, listen, this kid didn't do his fucking road work. Go to the body. Because Jackson straight up doesn't like him. You don't think it made him feel happy seeing him get bodied? So my personal opinion, I think fucking Ward had inside info. But he is very cerebral. Not my cup of tea. I just never, that his whole style, like, hugging and fucking punching, yeah, not for me. But I'll give him that.
Jimmy,
yes.
you the man, sir, but fuck Andre Ward.
I'm trying to be, you know what I mean? I just, I'm trying to be, I don't think listen, I'm one of those people who don't think he belongs in the hall. When I hear people put him in the hall, that freaks me out. I'm like, really? For what? Going 1-1 with Kovalev? And taking out an emaciated fucking Dawson? I mean, really? Okay, Fox was a good win. But again, you had every conceivable fucking thing in your favor. Travel. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, he's such a diva. Taking the fucking Joe Goose in the court. When you sign a contract and then no, I want more. And then HBO wasting years of our fucking lives, them shoving him down our throats.
He
And he
pulled out.
couldn't pull 130.
Pulled out of a Cole Froch fight, right, with Andre Ward, right. When Cole Froch, his girlfriend was pregnant, so he had Cole Froch come out basically in America training for this fight. Pulled out. Cole Froch had to go back, then come back again for another training camp. And Froch went months without seeing like his missus who's pregnant, and I think it affected his performance. I'm not saying he would have won,
It does.
but that would have
absolutely. Fighting's a mental game. That shit has a huge effect on these guys. If you're not mentally in it, dude, it's a hard game to fucking be good at.
Ward knew what he was doing. He wasn't injured or anything. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of people who renege on contracts. I just think that's shady. You're a grown ass man. You signed your fucking thing. Be a man of your word.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, regardless,
I think that Kovalev 2 fight, right, has hurt his legacy more than anything. I haven't seen a good word said about this guy since that fight, and he's sitting there claiming victory like he's the king. He's the king of the throne, but deep down he's butthurt.
He used to always talk about.
Yeah, go on, bro.
Yeah, he used to always talk about, one of his things was, if I ever got a bogus decision, I'd fucking. He used to always say that. If I ever got an ugly decision, something went my way and I didn't think I deserved it, I would step up. Listen, dude, there's no ifs, ands, or. You want to know who gave the best look of who lost that fight? Anytime somebody wants to say who lost that fight, have him watch the fucking fight again. Just watch the end. Watch his expression. He thought he knew he lost that fight. And that's why when they said his name, he was shocked. He went from fuck to wow. And then for him to stand there, I knew I won that fight. You lying motherfucker. Son of God, my balls.
And guys, what's up with Andre Ward affiliating himself with people like Jay Prince? Like, I'm not from America and I don't know really the inside info, but what's up with those people?
I heard he's a shady cat.
I don't even know who that is.
Apparently, he fought Kovalev. That's the story I heard. He fought Kovalev in the second.
I heard he's bad. I heard he's a bad dude. I heard he's one of those people, like a lot of people that just fucking poses. I heard Prince runs deep. I heard he's, you know what I mean? If there's one dude in the game who'll fucking put you in a hole in the desert, he's one of the guys who knows the people. You know what I mean?
Well, can I say something about that? Because I tried to do a little research on James Prince, because I'd heard through the grapevine, throughout the years, I'd heard, like Jimmy said, this guy's a bad dude. And I remember that he used to be with Mayweather, he used to be with Ward, and I think he used to be affiliated with James Estonia as well. Well, we've talked about it before in the show, but he's the one that supposedly, allegedly sent a bunch of goons over to the Mayweather gym when Mayweather wanted to separate from him. And apparently they roughed up some.
No, he did.
But is that a fact?
Apparently it'd be on Floyd as well.
All right. So anyway, apparently it's James Prince. That's the James Prince. He's the one that sent the goons over to the Mayweather gym. And apparently, according to the story, Mayweather went to Bob Arum, who was his promoter at the time, and apparently Mayweather was terrified, and he said, "Listen, James Prince won't leave me alone unless I give him, I don't know how many thousands of dollars." And Bob Arum said, "Well, I'll write him a letter of credit." And Mayweather just said, James Prince don't accept no letter of credit. In other words, this guy just gave him cash or something else, like real quick. And James Prince, apparently, he's from the south of the United States. And the FBI, a couple of years ago, in the mid-2000s, they tried to catch him on something, but he slipped from their grasp. So this guy's pretty high up there. Or either he's innocent, or like the rumors say, this guy's a dangerous man.
Hey, when there's enough smoke, right? There's that much smoke, there's fire. I mean, you've heard it. I've heard it. You know, I live in Boston. You live in Montreal. So if we hear it here, I mean, he was described to me as the Suge Knight of boxing. So I mean, that guy isn't exactly a fucking nice dude.
He runs deep, man. He
runs
deep.
You know who else?
In the boxing game, in the boxing game, there's a lot of bad boys around. And you can soon fucking meet your match.
Well, I'll tell you right now, when the mob ran this shit, When the mob ran this shit, it was a lot better. I'm telling you, when I was a kid in the 70s, they didn't have these discrepancies because Adelaide Bird would have been with some two fucking dudes with their nose smashed all over their face and nice suits would have been waiting to talk to her in the fucking dressing room. You know what I mean? There was too much money. When the mob ran it, yes, there was fixed fights. But the mob, because of their greed, they put on the best fights because what generates the most bets? The biggest fights, generate the biggest bets. And that was the mob. The mob knew that. That was their action. That was their lifeblood was gambling. And in the fucking 1930s, 40s, and 50s and 60s, they made a killing. But the judges knew, listen, unless the judges were told, make it dirty, if they weren't told to make it dirty, they were going to do their best to do it right because they didn't have to worry about like being people shitting on them on Twitter. They'd have to worry about getting capped. Fucking these bastards. Yes.
Jimmy, what's your thoughts on the mafia, the mob, and Sonny Liston? Do you think they killed Sonny Liston?
I don't know enough about that dude. I don't know. I just know that I heard that he was into a lot of money to him. That's what I heard. That's the only thing I ever heard. The old timers talk about it, like old timers who actually.
He died suspicious. He died suspicious. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And I heard he owed a lot of people money the way right now Rigondeaux does. And didn't Rigondeaux just say no to the WBC or the WBS? He turned that down?
Yeah, because of weight issues. Yeah. And by the way,
weight class?
Sorry, but I just have to correct something. It wasn't the FBI that was looking into him, into James Prince. Apparently, it was the DEA. But anyway, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but
well, you guys know I gotta get in on this Rigondeaux shit, man. Just for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys know how much I love the guy. What I've been trying to tell people for years now is that the guy ducks and dodges fights, and or he's not no bantamweight. All right, so something's got to give over here because people are saying that he's the most feared man in boxing, and he's a tiny man. Something's got to give in this situation. Him ducking the WBSS, obviously. One of these theories got to get trashed. At least one, if not both.
Right. I mean, the whole thing was he was too little. 130 was ridiculous. That's the only reason why he lost. He got dragged all the way up to 130. But yet now they're saying it would kill him to make 118. So you know what I mean? What is it?
He took the fight. I didn't want to see the fight. The LDBC and the rest of the people wanted to see it.
I didn't want to see it either.
Let's not forget. Let's not forget here. He had the chance to fight Lomachenko at 126 for more money and turned it down. So
yep. He will be even more drained. It will be in a fair fight.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have been no different. The outcome probably would have been worse.
Yeah, but it would have been more fair on paper.
Yeah, exactly. You would have got less people bashing it.
Let's be real, right? Weight is not going to give Rigondeaux a better heart, a better courage.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like Vance, I got to give the kid credit, man. I thought honestly he was going to go in there and fucking. What did I see on Twitter last night? Somebody said backfoot boogeyman. I think was that you, Bucho? Backfoot boogeyman. I fucking almost pissed myself laughing. But no, that's what I mean. But fucking, I thought Vans was going to fight like that against G, but he actually stood in there like he was going to try to put him out. So fucking, but yeah, I guess Triple G ain't that old after all. Because I know everybody's shining this over like it's no big thing. He's been out of the ring for 2 years. That don't fucking make him have a weak chin. This dude was never hurt. And I can tell you right now, my guy I follow on Twitter, I can say this because Mike Brown, right? He was out there at the fight. He was with Dougie and Steve after the fight in the hotel. And Mans, Martirosyan came in at 1 o'clock. And I guess the first thing he said, Steve was the one to ask him, Kim says, so what is it? How does he hit? And right up, he said, dude, I've never, ever been hit so hard in my life. He said, I try to mentally prepare myself for it. But he said, I just wasn't there. He said, when he first hit me, and that uppercut, he said that uppercut was it. Once that uppercut, that was the punch, he said. He goes, that uppercut, I was done. Once that uppercut landed, he said, I don't think I saw straight again until I hit the shower.
What about that layoff, Jimmy? Because the first thing that's going to be affected, if you are indeed affected coming off a layoff, and that doesn't necessarily happen, especially when you're in your prime, like Martirosyan. Timing. But if you look at that first round, Martirosyan had the beat on Triple G and was countering him with the right hand. So his timing was on point. If you're able to land flush on Golovkin in the first round, your timing is a-okay. It wasn't the fact that he was off for however long he was off for. It's the fact that Triple G just wasn't playing the fuck around, man. He was just in there to take his head off.
You could see it in his face coming in. I've never seen him in a ring walk so just pissed. He looked almost pissed when he came into the ring. You know what I mean?
His timing looked good, man. Maybe he would have tired if the fight went 10 rounds, and we would have said, okay, well, he was off for 2 years, so he didn't have his stamina 100%. But his timing was spot on, man.
And Monterosion's a gym rat.
Golovkin went in there with the attitude. I totally agree, Three Piece. Golovkin went in the attitude, well, I'm not going to let the judges take away my destiny. I'm just going to, I'm going to bomb this guy out of here. And I think probably the best thing that ever happened to him was him getting robbed by Canelo, because we're going to see a Golovkin that's going to take it
to the next level.
Take it to the trenches, yeah. But,
and that's why I think he's not going to fight. That's why I think Canelo's going to back out of September 15th. I just have a gut feeling he's going to back out. He's going to try to wait him out, try to get him another year older. But I don't know. I just have a feeling, because I think Canelo knows, he knows he lost that first fight.
Yeah.
He's tasted his power. He doesn't, the way that kid turns I say it all the time, every single time I watch Triple G fight, it almost brings a tear to my eye, because I think of my granddad. I'm like, fucking that old mean prick. He would just be fucking, look at him. The way he turns his punches over, and that's, you know what I mean? That final combination, the accuracy. Are you kidding me? Boom, boom. Every shot was on the button.
Like, there's a picture going around trying to compare Wilder's swings to Golovkin's, but Golovkin. When you watch Golovkin's, there's no momentum in them. It's just body movement, and it's like it's the movement in the body and the turning of the fist that brings the power. Wilder is swinging from his hips, from his feet, bringing the punch over like a fucking windmill.
That's why he breaks his hand. Yep, that's why he breaks his hand all the time. He hammer punches. He always hammer punches. He comes down at the side of his hand. Listen, you guys follow baseball at all? Well, it's probably a dead sport now, but back in the day, right, there was this kid, Ken Griffey Jr. He was a fucking tiny dude comparatively, like built-wise. You look at a lot of home run hitters outside of the steroid, but like Ken Griffey Jr., even Tiger Woods, the reason why they can smash the ball a country mile is it's all in the hips, man. It's all in the fucking delivery, like you said. It's all in the body. And so there's no wasted movement. He's turning his fucking punches over, and he keeps them tight. He throws them. He doesn't bring his elbows. He doesn't until he's squared up, and that's when his elbows leave his body. Everything he does right. You can tell it's just repetitive. He's been doing it for years.
Can I say something?
Sure
just to add something to Jimmy's statement. I've never seen a fighter who is so efficient at shifting his weight, and I'm not talking about like shifting like the feet movement when you cross your feet, right? Like the weight shifting, the way the Golovkin shifts his rear portion of his hip to the front. It's not wild, it's not exaggerated, but you can see it if you. It's so efficient.
Excellent point.
And
sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Just one point. And I've seen one more thing. A lot of fighters, even the championship level fighters, when they're about to throw a punch, they do a millisecond pause, and Golovkin does not do that. He's seamless in his offense, and that's a really deadly thing.
Yeah, excellent. That final sequence where he finished Vanes, that was very much Lomachenko. Now, before you jump down my fucking throat, like you were saying, Pavel, when Golovkin does it, it's minimal. But if you just look at his feet when he was doing that, not only did he shift stances, I believe twice, he was also stepping off. When he was tapping him with that jab, he was setting up the right hand by stepping over at the same time, stepping over to his left, and then dropped the right hand. And then as he was dropping the right hand, he stepped again to his right, tapped him a little bit with the left. Like Lomachenko does it in a very exaggerated fashion. He's all the way the fuck around you. Triple G does the same thing, except he takes baby steps and he steps off the line just so where he could still deliver his shots with power.
Yeah, sorry, Stu. And that type of footwork, that minimal taking the inches with your feet, it's what brings up to your opponent the most in professional ranks, right? And yeah, that's basically what I was about to say.
Let me just ask you guys something, and I know it's going to sound goofy and a sport. People like, it's a gay sport or whatever. But I'll tell you right now, if you guys ever go to I think it's IFUUB, but it's it's the Professional World Championships of Fencing, World Fencing, right? You want to see footwork? If you actually look at it, if you just go to a video on YouTube and check like the world level fucking fences, they just keep that hand out, and it's all bottom legs. It's darting in and out with their bottom legs, and they keep them like boxers. You want them shoulder width. You don't want your outside of your feet. I mean, the inside of your feet on the outside of your shoulders. Then you get your fucking stance usually most too wide. Now you're taking away from your power. That's why even if in a batter they have a wide stance, but as the pitch is coming in, they bring that lead foot back, bring it to their knees, and they twist into it. But as a boxer, you want to keep your feet pretty much aligned with your shoulders. And he does that. He parries. And if you watch his feet, his right foot never has to catch up to his left foot or vice versa. He's boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Pacquiao is excellent at that too. You know what I mean? Like there's no wasted movement. I'm impressed with the guy. I mean, fuck. You know what I mean? I'm 15 years older than
It's
him, and I'm talking
interesting.
to him.
It's interesting you bring up fencing because back in I want to say late 1800s there was a French fencer who went over to Russia to train boxers, and he brought his fencing background, and in my opinion that's where that reliance on the jab and the control with the lead hand comes from in the Soviet style. The when you look at Klitschko, Golovkin,
Yeah. Fuck that
Lomachenko,
too.
all these guys, the jab not only does it come from fencing, but also a culture of sword fighting. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Nope,
it's
you're
interesting that
100%.
you bring that up because there's a direct link between fencing and boxing when it comes
Yeah,
to the Soviet school.
and one thing, one thing I'd like to say about Lomachenko and Golovkin, the most apparent common thing that I was managed to observe in those fighters is that they seem to me like they are mindful every second of the fight to keep their upper body between their legs, no matter what they do. If the head movement, if it's the whatever offensive or defensive action, they always keep that balance. And I mean, that's very underappreciated thing, and
And
it comes
it's
from fencing.
absolutely,
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
100% right. See, that's why, you know what's so fucked up? This is why you guys are excellent. I try to say that to some meatheads, guys who, "Oh, what the fuck, man, fencing, really? That's awesome.
Gay.
Fucking nice.
That's gay.
Nice. Yeah, what are you talking about fencing? I'm like, no, you don't
And
understand. It's the whole,
I
it's the
wanna I
feet
wanna
work.
add something about the so-called wild swings from Golovkin. What he does, I'm not saying he throws those punches not to hit you, but what those punches are designed to do, first and foremost, is direct you into the center to line you up for the straight punches. That's why when you
Yeah.
notice a lot of the times when he throws the swings, they're telegraphed and they're slow. Why? Because he wants you to be in the center and he wants you ducking. Minutes before he landed that uppercut, he was throwing slow swings at Vanes, and Vanes was ducking down. So next time he showed him the left hand, Vanes ducked down, and he brought up that uppercut, and that was all
That's
she wrote. So
Harness.
there's a reason why he does that. Wilder just swings for the fences. Period.
and
Golovkin,
Yeah.
everything's calculated.
And
Exactly.
good trainers will tell you all the time, don't let them lead you. You're letting them lead you. And that's what it is. You're letting them lead you around the ring. They're doing things to make you go where they want. You know what I mean? That's why you got to get off first and all that other stuff. And yeah, no, Golovkin, he cuts off the ring as good as anybody. And I'll tell you right now, the way he looks through looks through his eyelids, keeps that chin ducked. And people, oh, he took that shot. If you look where he takes him, he's got high cheekbones. He's got thick fucking skin, right? I don't know if that's from the Korean descent or whatever, but the high cheekbones. He doesn't cut easy, and he keeps his chin tucked. You can take shots. Most people, if you can take a shot, can take the shot around your eyes and your forehead all day. And on top of that, if you can bring your head down even a little bit more, they run a risk of breaking your hand on the top of your head. You never see him with his head back. It's just the little things. I'm so
Yeah.
impressed with that fucking
Golovkin,
kid, you know?
Golovkin's got Golovkin has
Right.
got one of the best chins I've ever seen in boxing.
Crazy chin.
This
Crazy
guy,
Um,
Of
chin.
and
course.
This guy puts his hands down, let people hit him clean on the chin, and he sits there smiling with blood coming from his nose.
But people say that was only Brooke. And it's like, let fucking Brooke punch you in the face, dude. You'd be picking your teeth up with broken fingers.
Danny Jacobs was hitting him clean, and he was still walking through him.
Forward.
I when it comes to boxing, when you're talking about the fencing, I think gymnastics is the way forward for boxers to get in front, just for the balance,
absolutely,
the strength of the and hold on, bro, and getting used to, when being dizzy. Getting your balance when you're dizzy. When gymnastics are spinning in the air, they don't know what's going on. They get used to just seeing a fucking spinning version, and they land on their feet. But that will help with boxing when you get hurt as well. So I think gymnastics is a very good way forward. It's just a very difficult technique to learn. But I heard Lomachenko has got a bit of a Ukrainian gymnastic background as well. So that's what I just said.
Well, apology. Yeah, apology. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You guys talking about the fencing thing earlier. If you guys watch fencing, what they will do is this is Gigi does all the time. They'll fight one pace, to go fast, and then they'll slow it down so that the opponent will miss time the block, and then they'll score a point. And that's what Triple G does. He'll go fast, and then as you're blocking the shot, he will go slightly slower, so you block it too early, and then he will catch you with a shot.
They're called throwaway. They're called throwaway punches, where you throw away a shot to land the next one coming in, sort of thing. Yep. And that's what that's.
Yeah, and can I say something? One thing that I've noticed about two fighters, Gennady Golovkin and Ricardo El Finito Lopez, is that when, in terms of their chin strength, their biggest asset in that, the biggest contribution would be, the anticipation of the punches, the the anticipation of the rhythm and all that, but it comes from experience. But one unique thing they did was in between the combinations, they when they knew the punch was coming, they braced their whole upper back and neck to take the punch.
Well, let me say this, since we're talking about different techniques or boxing technique. And by the way, we have to go soon, so we only have a couple of minutes left. But real quick, Lomachenko, I was watching Joe Rogan, and he was talking about, they were showing a clip of Lomachenko when he was younger, when he was a kid. And I think he was in some sort of Sambo competition, or I don't know if it was judo or Sambo, but he was grappling. And I'm thinking, man, this guy did it all before boxing. I mean, dancing, Sambo, stomping grapes. I mean, is that, do you guys think it's beneficial to try other types of stuff that involve footwork in order to make it into boxing?
I think it's more than beneficial. I think it's almost a must nowadays.
Yeah.
Cross training, absolutely a must. You have to have them. I would get them into dance, gymnastics, like Stu said, for balance. There's nothing better.
I'll get into wrestling.
Even yoga is good for boxers.
Of course it is. Keeps your muscles lean.
Keeps
you stretched out.
Basketball is good for
excellent training for basketball. Excellent. Yeah. The footwork alone. Yeah, it's not a better sport, but yeah.
That's why Pacquiao.
Hey Bucho, did you ask me something about Dana White on the text you sent?
Yeah, because we were talking about Dana White and
okay. I didn't know
getting into boxing. But I don't know if we have enough time now. But maybe next time, man.
Yeah, no problem. Man. I could tell you some shit about that fucking weasel, man. Dude, he's just no good, man. Straight up, he's no good. I'm not just telling you that because, put it this way: if you met me, right, you were hanging out, and I left the room, and my mother came in and sat down with you and looked you in the eyes and said, "Honey, listen, Jimmy's a fucking total piece of shit. The only reason why he has ring girls, those UFC girls, say I ran the UFC, he fucks every one of them." This is what his mother said in an interview. Do you know what Dana White did to his own grandmother? Per his mother now.
He fucked her.
His grandmother was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh.
Was fucking he found out, Dana calls it, "I'm gonna send my plane. We're sending you out to Mount Sinai, the best of everything." Granny packs her bags and died waiting for him to call her back. Whoa. Wrap your head around that, guys.
Wow.
Seriously, wrap your head around that. tells you what kind of human being this guy is.
But hold on, are you saying is that alleged? Is that alleged or is that a fact?
This is from his mother's mouth. I mean, unless his mother's lying. You know what I mean? There's an interview. Look, punching fucking after you get off, punching Dana White's mom, and she eviscerates him. Absolutely. She said the money made him ugly. I saw it firsthand back in the early 90s when he was selling gym memberships at South Boston Goals, selling fake steroids, getting people sick. That's the reason why he had to run out of Boston. I know he likes to tell the story of fucking Whitey Bulger ran him out. That's the biggest crock of shit going. Kevin Weeks told me to my face, dude, he's Dana White. He's the fuck. You know what I mean? Whitey's making $500,000 a week just on drugs alone. You think he's going to go shake down a fucking YMCA boys club boxing match? Because that's what he was, fucking promoting back then. It's just so ridiculous. Hey, he was selling bogus steroids and he got people sick.
Apparently his mother wrote a book about it.
He just become I saw when I saw him making the money with the steroids, at first he had a good connection, and then he burned his steroid connection. This kid, Joey Freitas, I think Joey's dead. I'll say his name. Joey Freitas from Lowell. He was buying everybody got. This kid was originally from South America, so he had a crazy connection. Woody kid. He burnt Dana White burnt him for tons of money. So he lost his connection. So what I guess he did was he fucking ordered a bunch of fake bottles and just printed up the labels, and he filled it with peanut butter oil or peanut oil. So this dude's shooting that shit. And that isn't made in a clean room. That peanut oil is dust, there's fibers, there's all kinds of microscopic, shit in there. And this one kid, Ross Shea from Westford, ended up getting a hematoma. He lost half his thigh because it became so infected. He bought. So that tells you the time. And he knew this going in. He was told, man, this was going to get motherfuckers sick. And he sold that. That to me, I don't care. You want to play? You want to be a criminal? Fine. Society needs criminals. We need the good people need someone to point the fingers at. But there's even codes of conduct amongst criminals. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you're a child molester, you're a fucking piece of shit. You rape women, you're a piece of shit. You sell shit that can kill people knowingly, you're a piece of shit. Fuck.
Let me ask you.
He's a rat.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more next time. I hope you can come in next time as well.
He's a dynamite.
What's that, brother?
Stu, what'd you say?
Stu, what?
Yeah, you broke up there, Stu.
I was just going to say, sorry, BDA. I was just going to say, the thing with Dana White, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
You're breaking up a little bit, but go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, bro. I was just saying the thing with Dana White, right? As much as he's a piece of shit, he is. Jimmy's right, but the guy's done a fantastic job with the UFC. The UFC was a fucking failure. It was making no money. It was a joke, and this guy turned it around and made it a multi-billion-pound business. So you have to give him credit for that. But
absolutely.
I don't like the way he gets in fighters. He offers fighters out and shit. He sits there and offers fighters out. He was talking about fighting Tito Ortiz. I think Tito Ortiz is a fucking wanker. I don't like the guy at all, but he would bash Dana White all over the place, mate. Let's be real.
He saw the writing on the wall.
Too big for his boots.
He saw the writing on the wall. He took that as far as it was going to go. There was starting to be way too much problems. The fighters were talking about unionizing because he was fucking everybody, and everybody knew it. So he knew it was ready to tip. That's why he sold it. He started telling all his fighters, oh, there's a big influx of money coming in with selling. Everybody knew about it. So that's how he was able to keep it going for another couple of years. Well, fucking everybody. Now it's a disaster over there. The numbers are down. He was smart. They got out at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did. But it's in the transitional period, so it has potential to come back. It just depends on how they promote it.
Absolutely.
You got to pay the guys.
And by the way, Jimmy, you said that he fucks the ring card girls. So just clarify for me: are you giving him props for that, or?
This is what his mom said. She said she made a comment along the lines, you think those ring girls get their jobs, or he's slept with every ring girl they have. She straight up said in the interview. I mean, I watched that thing with my fucking chin on my chest, thinking, my God, man, that's horrible, Mom. But yeah, he's
fair play to Dana White, mate.
Yeah,
I would as well, mate.
That's what I'm getting.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'd be fucking shitting me.
I see that interview.
I was listening to your show.
Talking about.
Can I just get one thing in, guys? Listen, I was listening to the show the other day where you guys were talking about eating ass or something. And one of the shows last week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my name in the ring, dude. I eat ass.
There you go.
There you go.
Get him off.
I eat ass. You can't, because I'll tell you. Hey, listen. I'll tell you what. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. You meet a girl. You meet a guy, right? You meet a guy who doesn't eat ass, and you're gonna meet a woman who's ready to leave that man. Because the man who comes along and eats her ass.
That's right. That's right.
Right. You know,
Respect for you.
I take back everything good I said about you, Jimmy.
I mean, listen. I'm not. grabbing.
I gain more respect
From Jimmy Conlon.
But I like Dana White more than you now.
I'm not talking about grabbing some fucking toothless fucking Hep C having crack on the street.
It doesn't matter. It's still disgusting.
Just busting your balls, man. Just busting your balls.
Yeah, it is.
Jimmy, I gain more respect for you, Jimmy.
Thanks, brother.
Listen, in my eyes,
my girl's over there giving me the thumbs up.
Jimmy's gone from Jimmy Conlon to Jimmy Carter.
Sounds like you gotta go, bro.
You've gone from Jimmy Conlon. You've gone from Jimmy Conlon to Jimmy Carter. Honestly, bro, I don't know what happened to you, bro. Don't know what happened to you.
Oh.
Get down on your knees so Sabrina can see your asshole. Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
Listen, I don't want to talk.
Chick's gotta be hot too, man. I'm not fucking sticking my tongue down some fatty or something like that. You know what I mean?
That's worse. They're more disgusting. The hot chicks are more disgusting.
You know, I took a psychological test once, and they asked you the question, like, would you eat a girl's ass if on the night you met her? And apparently, if you answer yes, that makes you an adventurous person, and if you say no, that means you're a prude. So just make of that what you will, but that's what the psychological test said.
Well, tits are for kids, man. I'm about the pooper. Not about the ass.
That's right. There you go. Endorsing. Jimmy's endorsing the ass eating.
Rum to hygiene. Basic hygiene.
Someone did human race. Yeah, someone did the human race a favour and just fucking drop a nuke muscle. We deserve to be nuked. A lot of us.
I disagree. I think we're educating. I disagree, man. I think we're educating people.
Yeah, degenerates, sponsored degenerates.
What do you mean? We're educating people.
Don't knock it till you try it. I'm the cleanest man in the world.
Exactly.
I take showers while I'm doing the show, so that tells you how clean I am.
Listen, we're educating people, man. That's what we're doing in this show. We educate people about boxing and about
listen. Hey, before you hang up, right? And before you guys hang up, right? Fucking know this. If you eat a girl's fucking kunyani, I'm telling you right now, you're eating ass. Because if you don't think that thing's down there stewing all day in them panties, juices aren't flowing. You know what I mean? It's a fucking quarter inch away. You don't think you're getting cross fucking, you know?
Hey, Jimmy. Listen, Jimmy, I got your back, man.
Oh yeah, we got John Gonzalez on the line.
Young Gonzalez, man.
Yeah, I got
the legendary John Gonzalez.
Kebabs look more tastier than boxing.
Thank you.
John Gonzalez is on the wild side, if you understand. He takes it to the extreme.
Listen, I was actually, you know what I was too? You know what I was listening to? I was at a fucking wake. I was at a wake, and I got my head down in my lap, and I got headphone on, right, the wireless, and I'm fucking cracking up. And I think people thought I was crying. I was listening to you guys. I was fucking giggling like a schoolgirl at a funeral at a wake. It was terrible.
John Gonzalez is a human toilet, isn't he?
Yep.
He is. It's the next level.
Yeah, when John tells his girl, when John's girlfriend has to go to the bathroom, John says, "Well, why? I'm right here. You don't got to go to the fucking toilet."
Isn't that the Germans? Aren't the Germans known for those shit movies? Those fucking.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's fucking bizarre shit.
Jimmy, I watched one, bro. Did you hear the show the other day? I was telling a story about why I watched one. This German guy is sitting there and he's banging this bird. Next minute, she squats over him and starts shitting on him, and he's sitting there going, "Oh, that is good. That is good."
That accent.
Oh my god, that's fucking
gotta
twisted,
go,
man. That's twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, we end this. I see Precise already dropped off as well. I think that's where he hit the line. But listen, guys, we do have to go. I want to thank everybody that joined the show. I thought I forgot somebody, but yeah, I want to thank Stu Little. I want to thank Recognize. Check out his channel on YouTube. We're gonna put the link in the description. I want to thank Pavel, John Gonzalez, who just showed up. Apology. I want to thank Jimmy from Jimmy's Corner. Jimmy, come back again anytime, man. And try to make it earlier.
Just hang out, guys. Can you send me a hangout like you did that message? That was awesome. You know what I mean? That's how I found out. That's great.
All right.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. You have a great night.
You too, man. Thanks for being on, man. Hope you come in earlier. Don't forget Apology Man's YouTube channel as well. He has a YouTube channel, and that's about it, man. Thanks everybody in there, and I want to thank now everybody in the chat room. So if you guys in the hangout want to leave, you're more than welcome to do so.
I just want to send a message to Boxing Style. If he's in jail for that break-in last night, I'll bet him.
Yeah, where was he? He missed the show today. Anyway, shout out to Boxing Style as well. I hope he's not in jail, by the way. And
okay, I was about to bail him out. That makes me a good man.
Well, yeah, there you go. I hope he's not in jail. But you know, these Armenians, I don't know how they do it over there in LA. But yeah, give a shout out to Fam Oli, Graphic Broad, John Gonzalez, Ashfiend, Vatakanka, Sir Cryptimus Prime, Jesus was in there as well. I know Roddy Davis was there, Vincent Marduk, Mighty Claire, Fam Oli, I said it already, Kyle Saltharak, Rod was in there as well. Another Rod Rook Davis. What? Rod Rook Davis? Is that the same Rook? Anyway, Box Young was in there. Pop Tart Gun holding up the chat room.
Guys, are you going to? Sorry, BDA, are you going to do a second Renaissance tomorrow or someday else?
I don't know. We'll get to the nationalism episode next time, but I don't know if we can do it tomorrow.
Looking forward to it, anyways.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate your support.
Thanks for having me.
Always, man, always. Hakuna Matata, the Quacks, Canelo, give me my fight, the Fat Scout. Reverse Lee was in the chat room as well, cracking me up with some of the names. Eliud Escobar from New York City. Thanks, everybody. Filipino Cebu, Boxing Fairy Tale, Brandon White. You guys know who you are. Thanks for being on the show. We'll see you on Saturday before the Lomachenko versus Linares fight. That should be a good one. And we'll see you on the next one, folks. Take care. Thanks for watching.